You have hashtags already that you want, eh? Okay, just hold on. I'll come to them. So, what hashtag do you think we should have today? For that will talk about what we're doing today. Not just Intellectual Property Day, but what we're also doing here today. Women and IP, accelerating innovation and creativity. Yeah. Hashtag Women and IP. Hashtag Women and IP. Okay, I like that. Women in IP or women and IP? Okay, women and IP. Okay, that's a good one. Another one. Let's have 3 of them. Sarah, give me yours. She read your mind, eh? World IP Day. Oh, okay, so we'll use that so that we can also trend along together. Okay, so it's World IP Day, all right, plus women and IP, and then get your copyright right. That's an interesting one. Are you happy with that one, Sharon? Get your copyright right. Hey, get your copyright. Or get your copyright. Get your copyright. Oh my. Maze, umekunywa kahawa leo? Asubuhi. All right, thank you. Get your copyright. Oh, I like that. Okay. Why were you guys, you're on the table by yourselves. You don't want to join us here on this side? The 2 of you, we have enough chairs. There's over here. There's over here. Karibu. All right, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being on time and for coming to be a part of this great, shall I call it an exchange, a forum where we shall be talking to some really great women, hearing from some really great women who are making an impact in their spheres of influence, but always in IP and in the creative industry. So I'm very excited to be a part of this and have been asked to moderate it. And I'd like to invite my dear sister Waidera to join me here on stage. We shall stand together and sing the national prayer. Are we doing 3 stanzas or just 1? We do 1, eh? Please give a round of applause to Waidera. Shege, she's going to be helping Umaina. Shege, yes. I said Shege, so you looked at me like I wasn't talking. I didn't know what I was saying. I can give a Kenudia. Really? Not Mageria? Amemaliza kulipa. Okay, guys. So please let's be upstanding and let's sing together in Kiswahili the first stanza of the national anthem.
Mungu nguvu yetu, ilete baraka kwetu, haki ngao na mlinzi, na tukae na undugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi. Thank you.
That's a voice and a half, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you'll be hearing a little more about very good voice. So let's give you geography. I think if you haven't had coffee yet, we will have tea at some point in the middle of our program. But gents and ladies are out through that door. There's people who can help you to find the way past the staircase. And it's really nice to be here. I'm very, very curious to know who is in the room today and what areas or what sectors of the creative industry we have represented today. And if you'll allow me, I'll just go around quickly and just get to know where you're from, and I'll come with the microphone. Just tell us your name and where your practice is, where you practice, what you do in this industry, and then you'll do that for me. Oh, you're so kind, you're so lovely. I'm a Jipa Shugli, yeah? Okay, so start with Dr. Zip Yokov.
Okay, first, Mr. Mageria.
Yes.
I know you may be a heathen, but we can start with a prayer. If you
I thought the national prayer was the national prayer. Okay, please pray.
Okay. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we are grateful for today, grateful for an opportunity to have this exchange forum. Thank you for the wonderful women you have brought on our panel and the rest of the participants. Would you guide us? Would you be with us today? In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. World Intellectual Property Day.
Happy World Intellectual Property Day.
Zippy.
Thank you. Happy World Intellectual Property Day.
To you.
Yeah, I have been introduced.
Just the name.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Zippy Okoth. I'm a lecturer of film and theater arts. I'm a storyteller and a filmmaker in Kenya. Thank you.
Yeah. You're being modest. You're being modest. Yeah, good. Next person. Yes, that's you. Some people will be jumping and you'll find out why.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
My name is Malika Doris. I am a stylist. I work in TV production and do personal styling. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Thank you. Styling. Microphone goes, jumps all these people. All these are being jumped. All those are being jumped. Let's go this way. I can see my friend Abigail.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
My name is Abigail. I'm a screenwriter.
Hey, wow, okay. The people you don't see, but you definitely feel. And
good morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Kitui Kennedy Nadika. I am an inspector of copyright from Kenya Copyright Board.
Inspector. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Give a round of applause. You can give everybody a round of applause. So when it's your turn, we can clap for you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Karani Kamadi from the Kenya Copyright Board Training Department.
Karani, I called you Cairo. Oh my goodness. Give him a round of applause.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Luciane Moy, Kenya Corporate Board, Communications Department.
Nice. Excellent. Round of applause.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Marvelyn Kihara. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with a specialty in intellectual property rights.
Fantastic. Even your name is very creative. Marvelyn.
Hello, my
Hi.
name is Lavan and I'm an animator and game designer.
Oh, nice. That's a very different field as well.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Jean Aiko Anyango. I'm a digital marketer focusing on influencer marketing and Naomi Nganga's brand manager.
Oh, and I'm starting a new brand called Aiko Designs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Asto. I come from Senegal, and I'm technical advisor in GIS and in the project Culture and Creative Industry, and I'm representative of Senegal.
Senegal, the westmost part of Africa.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Jacqueline. I'm the head of the legal department of Senegalese Copyright Office.
Oh, welcome to Kenya. Hey, Senegal has a strong contingent, eh? Yeah, Senegal in the house. Or delegation. They've delegated. Okay, sorry.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thank you. Sauti. My name is Asta Ina, and I wear a creative hat. So I'm a singer, songwriter, actress, TV host, radio host, corporate MC, and the founder of Dear Bully KE. Thank you.
Hey, okay. Yeah, sawa.
After that voice, I didn't gonna pressure. My name is David Moretti. I'm a DJ, a father of 3. I own 3 chickens. I'm very proud, but by tomorrow there might be 2 left. Thank you.
You're a DJ.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Nyokafi Masharia. I am an actor, director, and producer. Thank you.
Karibu.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Don't sit so far away, sir, please. The chairs here, even come in front here, kabisa. Yeah, karibu. Yes, go ahead.
So my name is Timothy Merure, a court administrator at the Cooperative Copyright Tribunal. And on top of that, I also am an instrumentalist. Thank you.
Oh, what do you play?
I play the keyboard.
Nice.
Quite of guitar.
Many instruments.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Shalami Sie. I am a hairstylist and a makeup artist, and I'm a founder of Dumaki Safaris, which mainly focuses on impact tourism and charity as well.
Wow. Yeah, interesting.
Hi, morning.
Morning.
My name is Edwin Mshila. I'm an ICT officer from Kenya Copyright Board.
Karibu Edwin. Round of applause for him.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Laura Awino. I'm a pupil at the Kenya Copyright Board.
A pupil. You're doing your pupillage? Okay, I understand.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Augustine Orina. I'm also a pupil and I'm taking pupillage at the Kenya Copyright Board.
Karibu.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Kezia Moria. I'm also in the legal department as an intern.
Karibu sana. Round of applause for her. One last table here.
One table more.
One more table. And then you have to give us your name, Sharon, by the way.
Hi, everyone. My name is Linda Musita. I'm from GIZ, the project advisor for film and cultural and creative industries.
Yeah, you're the person to know. Thank you, Linda.
Hi, everyone. Oprah Yugi. I'm a screenwriter and filmmaker.
Don't we know?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Sarah Jibril. I also work with GIZ with my lovely colleagues here supporting Kenya Copyright Board. And I came from Germany, so I'm glad we're also international here for World IP Day.
Fantastic. Yes.
Kenya. And I also work for the global project Culture and Creative Industries. And I vote that we still add the hashtag Get Your Copyright because I really love that.
Get your copyright right, huh? Okay. Wake a copyright right, boss.
Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Cyrus Kenyongo from the Kenya Copyright Department, Kenya Copyright Board in the Communications Department. Just requesting you to start tweeting.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the handles. And please tag those at Kenya Copyright and at GIZ_GmbH. Thank you.
What does GmbH mean?
It's like an organization.
Oh, like limited. Oh, okay. So.
Good morning.
Hey.
My name is Amos Ochieng. I am the Director of Media Force Communications. We are a marketing communications company based in Nairobi. For this engagement, we are working with KECOBO and GIZ to produce these exchange forums on intellectual property, and I'm looking forward to engage with all of you.
Super duper. Thank you very much. Give them all a round of applause. Oh, one last one here.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Patrick Lavens. For the purposes of this convergence, I'm a poet, writer, author of 3 poetry anthologies, currently working on my 4th. And on the other side of life, I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
Yeah, okay. I can tell from your bag.
So currently, I'm a legal counsel with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance and a project manager with the Center for International Private Enterprise headquartered in DC. And I'm equally a voice artist. I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
What did you say your name is?
Patrick Lavens.
Oh, Lavens. Okay, so thank you. Round of applause for Patrick. And you?
Good morning.
What did she say?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are following in the
Oh, you're following. Oh, Patrick.
My name is Sharon Water.
Atimaji. Water?
Water. That would be WATA. I'm a deputy director at Kenya Copyright Board, in charge of the training and research department.
Next time you're on stage, please have acting for the cousin from America. Round of applause for Sharon. So what she's not telling you is that she's actually very much in charge of making sure that this happened, and that and pushed it, and especially making sure that we focus on women and the innovation that is happening, and what you ladies are doing, a really incredible job. And I'm so happy. Let me tell you, the power that we have today in terms of the creative women in this room is absolutely incredible. We'll be introducing them a little later on, and you will agree with me that we're going to really draw some great knowledge from what they've been able to do, how far they've gone, and where they are going as well. So I wanted to give a small story before I invite the executive director to come on stage. And the story revolves around my heritage, where I come from. Long time ago, in the 1800s, my great-grandfather felt that where he was living, there were too many people, and the population was exploding. It's a place called Tomotomo. There was too many people, and he felt it's not working for him. He wants space. So he got on his horse, and he told his guys, his workers, Kujeni, and they went in one direction until they got tired. And as they were going in that direction, this is virgin land, this is across the road where Gandu Girls is. And they just went cutting. So they're making a line. When he got tired, he said, okay, let's go this way. They went. And when they came back in the evening, they had carved out a whole day. They went a whole day. That was the job, the whole day, marking a territory. And that became his territory. That's how easy it was to get land those days. All you decide is, I want this place. So you mark it out, and it became his territory. And even in his old age, he was just selling one plot after another. Pole. And nobody gave it to him. He didn't buy it from anywhere. He just went and carved it out. That was his property. You get what I'm saying? Now, as we grew, as population grew and that kind of thing, no longer could you just go and decide, this is my property. You be told, unafikiria wewe ni nani? Hii ni mali ya serikali, you know? And then you have to start exchanging it with money. All of a sudden, the plots of land, maybe it was 1,000 acres. Now all of a sudden you can, if you want to buy 1,000 acres, you have to be a very rich person. Today, if you wanted to buy half an acre, you have to be a very rich person. Now, the other day, the president, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, he was complaining. He went to Rwanda, and he found some guys there. I'm sure they were Kikuyus. He found some guys there selling broti, maguta, quarter acres. and in fact, he didn't say this, but I'm thinking in my mind, you know, these guys have decided, guys in Kenya have bought enough now. Let's go. Let's go to other places. I'm sure you'll find the same guys. In fact, I even understand this. The same kind of guys are doing the same in Zambia and all that. And you know, the thing is this. Property, physical property, ardhi. For us, where I come from, land is property. You know, other things are secondary. But land is the main thing. It's getting smaller and smaller because we're becoming more and more. But if you look at the new frontier that is internet, World Wide Web, looking at things like crypto and all that kind of thing, that is intellectual property that is immeasurable. It is limitless. You can continue and grow bigger and bigger. You can, like my great-grandfather, go and just cut an area and say, this is mine. And that is what us as creatives in this world, us as people who are innovators, us who are entrepreneurs, or she's called an entrepreneur. You understand? That is what we have. That's the power that we have to be able to create and just go beyond our biggest imagination. And that's what we're going to be doing today, enjoying what other people have done and encouraging ourselves, challenging ourselves to go even further, because this property is limitless. It will go beyond our wildest imagination. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, once again, happy World Intellectual Property Day. Now it gives me great privilege and pleasure to invite a man who I really respect, I've worked closely with him as I was a board member at the Kenya Copyright Board. I got to know him very well. I knew him before what people were saying on the streets. But now I got to know him personally, and he's definitely a very diligent man and has a passion for law and for order and for making things right. He heads the, shall I call them you're a regulator, the regulator of copyright in this country. Please put your hands together for Mr. Edward Sigei. Karibu sir. Oh, unataka ile? Ah, sawa sawa. Mtajuaji ni boss.
Kaa nyuma yangu. Umetosha sasa. Asante Bwana Mwaniki, I couldn't recognize myself from your speech. From your speech. Today is the World Intellectual Property Day, but my speech is very small because I want to speak to you from the heart, so that we can agree about the role of women. So this morning, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be with you, to participate with you and celebrate the World Intellectual Property Day. This day is an annual event of the World Intellectual Property Organization. It is hardly 20 years since it was first set aside. And the reason for having the World Intellectual Property Day is to focus on the role of intellectual property rights in the global economy. And this role indeed has been growing, and it will continue to grow. And that's why we need to celebrate and think through how we can make value for the sector here in Kenya. This day also follows closely with another event called the Book and Copyright Day, which was celebrated on the 23rd of this month. This is a UNESCO event set aside for books and copyright. We would have liked to celebrate that day, but it was not possible. And of course, copyright is a part of intellectual property family. These two days, the Book and Copyright Day and the World Intellectual Property Day, have very key themes or important themes that reflect the age we are in. The Book and the Copyright Day had a theme of publishing in local languages. And this is very important because when people talk of culture, there is nothing that carries culture more than the language that people speak. And every year we lose close to 100 languages where people die off and there is no more person. There is nobody else that can speak the language. So that one, it's very sad because the language carries the traditions, the information, how people survive, how they could live in that environment. But it is gone just like that. So it's a very important that we observe and try and move on the speaking in our local languages, because right now many of us here can converse, but the next generation of Kenyans won't, and they will call themselves by the linguistic group that their parents came from, and it will be doubtful if they can really be called a Gikuyu or a Kalenjin or another language if they can't speak that language. And so it's an opportunity to reflect on that. On the matter of the role of women in IP, accelerating innovation and creativity. Women, for a long time, humans have discriminated against one set of the gender, and women are not represented as well as they should in terms of their contribution to intellectual property because of various reasons. Fortunately, we see somehow that women have tried and have given us very key innovations and inventions over time. And you know, in intellectual property we say you invent because you feel or you live and feel the gap that you invent something for. So if you are a lady, in most cases there are things that have been invented by women. They are looking at safety, security, health, and comfort of the home. And so in 1968, for instance, somebody called Marie van Boutan invented the home surveillance system. Remember, when we were younger, it would be very easy for you to know who came by because the neighbors were taking care of your property. But as we got urbanized, it became much more difficult. So CCTV really is a very woman-like invention. Because, you know, women want to know what is happening, so it's this one is not doubtful. You know, this one they want to know what their children are doing. Of course, traditionally we used to, our moms used to somehow know when we have stolen the honey or the sugar mainly, and we couldn't lie anyway, but they needed something to confirm. So there you are. We got the CCTV because of a woman. Recently, we had a clip in the men WhatsApp groups where somebody was looking at a mass of wires and they said they are trying to decode something because code was discovered by a woman. I thought it was a joke. So in my research, I found that it is indeed true that a lady called Grace Hopper from America is really you can call her the father of modern computing. In 1952, she generated the first computer language compiler, and also COPOL. You know, there used to be a language for oldies, you would know. All the people like David and Mwaniki and myself know. When you went to a computer class, you had a COPOL and C++ or what. This is sit down. By the way, since he's spoken up when I'm giving my speech, I remember now that yesterday, Harry Belafonte died. Oldies remember him, and there are only two oldies here. Mwaniki. Now, as a punishment, he will have to lead us in one of his songs. It's called Jamaica Farewell. No. That is the easier one. I want you to do the Jamaica Farewell. Yeah. If you, I think June can help. She's young, but she has sung these things. You know, we don't know the ages of women. Then another contribution over the years is in 1970s or 60s. A lady called Ruth Handler formed a company called Mattel Toy Company. This is the company that has given us Barbie dolls over the years, and they have been quite dynamic. But what I wanted to say is, given an opportunity, women could make our lives better because they could contribute more towards creativity and invent things that we can enjoy. Of course, there are many barriers that we have to admit. And one of the barriers for us that we have noted from our engagement with artists over the years is information. That people do not know what they ought to know. Just a moment. So you are in music sector. You don't know anything apart from being able to compose and maybe to perform. Unfortunately, that is not enough. If we have to take this sector as a business, that's a very casual way of managing intellectual property. Because if you don't have management to assist you, or at least know the basics, so that once the manager is giving you information and how your business is performing, you would understand at least bits and pieces. So it's quite unfortunate. So it was a pleasure for us to work with GIZ, although we spell it differently. So to just like you. Yeah, some people say GIZ, GIZ, so you have to give us a direction. But so we have been working with them over the last 1 year to bring out information on copyright and intellectual property for the benefit of the sector players, tackling topics. And the way we tackle it is that we try to tackle and reach them in the way that they now prefer. So we have been told that young people or people who have access to internet don't have the bundles to listen to 10 minutes of anything. So the best they can do is 3-4 minutes. And we've tried to have this information prepared in this way, so that they can be accessed in a bite form, quick, sharp, direct, just to whet their appetite, and then they can be curious and follow up and learn more. So I would like to express my appreciation to GIZ for working with us, and of course my team led by Sharon, who've been working with them, and the technical team led by the grand old man of Nyere. Of course Liz is there. Who else is in that team? I cannot see Nzomo. So they are a good team. They've really tried. We have a good product. You'll be able to sample. The idea behind this sampling is that we want to know if we hit the mark. How far are we in packaging this information? Yeah. So this is the course of the day. You'll be able to look at what has been prepared and know what is coming, so that you can help us to panel beat before we formally release it to the public. Finally, we have very good teams in 2 panels that will be discussing topical issues touching on women. And it's really, for me this morning, to appreciate them for taking time and accepting to be here. And I can see, I think it will benefit the sector to have your information and experience. And of course, I can see ZP, it's been a long time since we met. You've since grown gray hair. Intentionally. So you've been promoted to the old group. Of course, Linda now is leading, has joined GIZ, and I knew Linda from a long while ago. Of course, these 2 ladies have really tried. Liz and June, they are really pushed the message about intellectual property. Every opportunity they have had, they have been consistent and on the mark to speak. And in most cases, voluntarily, without pay, sparing time and resources. So I would like to thank them for it as well. So I'll end it there, but David, kuja uimbe na huyu msichana June. Yeah, the younger guys, this was the time when music was music. Eh? No. Asanteni sana, and he might look old, but he's younger than me.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce the Utamaduni troupe from Kenya. We studied in Washington, D.C.
Right, yes.
And we personally knew Harry Belafonte.
We used to call him Uncle Harry.
Uncle Harry.
Yeah.
We used to hang out with him. So, Shikani Kodi. 1, 2, 3.
Down the way where the nights are gay and the sun shines daily on the mountain top, Papa. I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached Jamaica I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town. And an extra coffee for David, our dancer, today.
Davy, you had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town. Davy had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town. My goodness. So, to Harry Belafonte. Great life, very well lived. Great man, great man. Even married to an African for some time. Yeah, he was married to Miriam Makeba. He wasn't. We thought he was married to Miriam Makeba. Okay. They never got married. As we thought they got married. She told you that personally? Yeah, sorry. That's how old Devi is. If you think about how far back... When did Miriam Makeba die? In the 80s? Okay, 90s. 2010? Really? Juicy. Okay, and they were personal friends. Even Harry Belafonte, he knew David. I know. I mean, I'm not talking like I don't know these things, David. You know, the thing about David is that he doesn't grow old. And it's the air in Nyeri. Us guys of Nyeri, we don't grow old. So, Aman Amnagani, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause once again for Mr. Edward. I'm calling you Edward. Yeah, I almost called you Ezekiel. You know, it's your best friend. Your best friend. Thank you very much. The biggest, everybody thinks that KECOBO is there just for CMOs. They don't know there's so many other things that happen. Yeah, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're happy. Please, have you taken photos? Can we have the hashtags starting to trend on Twitter, on IG? What's the other one? Which is there a new one? TikTok, yeah. TikTok, let's have them trending. By the way, you didn't introduce yourself. There's one new person who's come and she's my good friend, so let me make sure that... Check. Oh, there we go. Okay. This one is dying. Get me something, but use the stuff from there. Introduce yourself and tell us what you do in the industry.
Yes. Oh, hi everyone.
Hi.
So my name is Grace Mungai. I'm an author of 2 books. One is called Little Citizen. It's a book of values for children. Then the other one is called My Crazy Ideas. It's a business training for artists. Yeah, so I curate events for artists. So many of you might know Film is Serious Business. And used to do a magazine called Film Kenya. Yeah, so I'm glad to be here. Nice to meet all of you. Hi, Zippy.
Everybody knows Grace. Thank you. Round of applause for Grace. Give a round of applause. So thank you. Thank you for joining. Welcome, Gracie. Welcome. Yeah, it just keeps going off in the middle of talking. I don't know what's happening in the middle of talking. Okay, thank you. So, I would like now, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce some very, very special ladies. But first, hashtag Women and IP, hashtag World IP Day, and the other hashtag Get Your Copyright Right, courtesy of Nyokabi. Absolutely. So now I would like, this is the moment we've been waiting for. The reason we're here is because of these great people. Oh, by the way, there's Wi-Fi. Those of you who need Wi-Fi, if you do need Wi-Fi, you just go to, there's a site, when you go to the Sarova, it takes you to a site, and the voucher code, you go to voucher code is office, capital OFFICE, office. And then you'll be able to have some so that you save your bundles for later when you can be watching the movies. And I also want to let you know that we shall be viewing the videos that have been created by KECOBO and GIZ. We'll be viewing those immediately after our panel. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a panel of beautiful, powerful, resourceful, intelligent women who are doing great work in their fields, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce them to you. First of all, from the legal field, because IP needs legal, right? What is her name again? What is her name? Marvelous. Marveline. Oh yes, Marveline. See, Marvelous is the man. No, she's Marveline, the lady. Why am I focusing? Because she's a lawyer. No, Davy was there. I faced Davy earlier. I can go this direction if you want. Grace, you want me to look at your direction. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start off with our first panelist. And the road to go to is, you climb up here and then you find a place to sit. Because the guys who arrive earlier on the stage can choose where they want to. Then as we start filling it up, because as we start filling it up, then the last person will get to the seat that is left. But please save this one for me. I want to be the first one out. You see, the stairs are here. I'm an honorary woman today, yes. Without shame, by the way. Me, I have got daughters. I love and I understand what women do for us in this world. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen. Maze, you even made me forget that I have to open my
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce the Utamaduni troupe from Kenya. We studied in Washington, D.C.
Right, yes.
And we personally knew Harry Belafonte.
We used to call him Uncle Harry.
Uncle Harry.
Yeah.
We used to hang out with him. So... Shikani Kodi.
And humbled to be the one to help us go through this session of this exchange, this forum. And I'm very honored, particularly because of what you guys have been doing and what you've done and what you've accomplished. You've accomplished so much in a very short time, because you're all so young. So what I want to do, let's go legal first, Kidogo. Then I want you to, this is what I'd like all of you to do. Give us a bit of your vision. What drives you? Why do you do what you do? How did you end up doing what you're doing? Is this something that was encouraged along the way? You know, let's start there. And in fact, you were holding the microphone. Fantastic. Let's start with you. Why are you doing what you're doing? And how did it evolve to where you are?
Truly, I love music. I just have a passion for singing. And yes, and now with my band, Wanda Vocali, we want to take our vision global. We want to take the Kenyan music out of Kenya. Yeah, it's the love for the music.
Was it something that you were encouraged from a young age, or would you say you started when you were two, like Maggie
Funny
here
thing
was
is, I was a very shy child. Very, very shy. In fact, I don't even remember singing in front of my parents or in front of people up until high school. So I joined my high school choir. I was in Moi Girls, Nairobi. Shout out to Cabs. That's where I kind of nurtured that passion. I joined the choir and went through the whole music festival circuit. And that's when I decided I wanted to be a musician. Mm-hmm. And in my head, music then was just about singing, writing songs, hopefully get your songs on radio and then become a star. That's the idea I had about music.
Would you say that with just your talent, you've been able to reach where you've reached, or you need a lot of other information? Like I'm sure the lawyers will give us some of the tidbits.
Of course, information has really come in handy. And I think when we start getting into the IP discussion, we'll get into how that has also helped in the music sector.
Thank you very much. Muthoni, you're right next there. Now, everybody knows, when you think books, you think Muthoni. Isn't that right? So tell us, what gives you the passion to do what you do?
Gosh, because the challenge is huge out there, we need to get a book in every hand, because there are so many real problems, people go to school and they still can't read and write. Children don't have access to books. There are no libraries in schools. In fact, the vast majority, over 90% of schools don't have a library, primary schools. We are taught in a language that is not our home language. So what are our language textbooks, if you like? They're just not out there. So I wake up all the time thinking about, how can we contribute to changing this situation and improving the access to books, helping writers develop the books that children fall in love with, not just the ones that are forced down their throat. So my field, I guess I'm just saying that there are so many reasons for inspiration, to be interested in what we are doing.
You talked about language. So how many languages? Do you write in different languages as well?
No, I am a product of our Kenyan education system. I write in English, and at the time that I went to school, I know I look younger than I am, but Kiswahili was not mandatory, and it was looked down on. I'm sorry, in the 60s it was seen as the African language, and our parents wanted us to master English so that we would do well in the world. And unfortunately, that seems to be predominantly amongst middle class is still a perception that if you don't speak English well, if you're not able to master it in terms of writing and other forms of communication, then you won't do well. So that
brings us to a very big challenge, getting books into the hands of children in the language of their mother. It's interesting, eh?
It's huge, because where's the money in it?
Yes, where's the money in it? Okay. Interesting. And Sige talked about that briefly. Languages die every day. Yes. Wow, every year. Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, Muthoni. Madam Liz, I want to let you guys know this. She'll be a bit embarrassed, but the first time I met Liz was on a runway. She was a model. Miss Nairobi. Was it Miss Nairobi or Miss Kenya? Miss Nairobi, eh? And you were second runners up.
It's on the archives.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Liz. No, Liz, you have to be proud of that past. You did well.
Yes.
Yes.
So what keeps me going? So growing up, I wanted to be, that powerhouse in entertainment, model, sing, act, and all that. But as you know, African households, we really looked down upon the arts. Yeah, I remember my mom used to tell me, "Kwani, you want to just be everywhere naked?" That was my mom's perception of modeling, and even being a musician, because she would watch the videos and the music I liked, and she's like, "Where are their clothes?" So fast forward into high school, Weather and I have one thing in common. I was asking for fests, music fests and drama fests. I was in choir. I used to do a lot of poetry as well, so I would have a couple of performances, solo performances and whatnot. So that got me into just that space to start understanding. I'm like, okay, where can I do this? Then coming to uni, that's when now I got into modeling properly. And then with modeling came other opportunities. I started singing as well. So I'm in law school, and we're in the middle of being signed by a brand that wanted to produce our album. And I think that's where I had my epiphany, because the contract came. I was a second-year law student. I'm now finishing contracts too, and the contract comes, and I'm like, boss, I don't see words like IP, copyright, assignment. Something is not looking right. Yeah, we're supposed to do appearances. They're supposed to dress us. Like, so many things were missing in that contract. And I remember telling my my bandmates and even our manager, I was like, can we meet this lawyer, because there's a problem. Kuna shida. So when we met with the lawyer, we realized the understanding wasn't so much. And when you're in the creative industry, and June will tell you, there are some nuances in the creative industry. You have to have seen experience for you to be able to legally project and say, you know what, this is what a legally contract sound, a contract that is sound, legally sound, yeah, to an artist or to a performer. So when we realized there was a lot of push and pull, eventually we sort of pulled out. And I remember that lawyer asking, are you a law student? And I said, yes. I'm so proud. So, but even in between, I had a few legal issues, and I didn't find the right lawyer. I think that time June was still Maju studying somewhere. So, so that's when I realized, I think I want to be the lawyer that I couldn't find. So for me, eventually, when I realized that there was that gap, I said, you know what? I will still be in the space so that I learn from everything. So I used to give my all. I even go for auditions and you're queuing until like 4 p.m. and you were there like 6 a.m. But it was about the experience, because there's some things that, for you to be able to teach and impact, you have to have experience and then give a new input and a new sort of insight based on the shoes you're wearing. So I used to give my all. I even did a movie. We were shooting a scene at like 3 a.m. Even my dad didn't know I was shooting a movie, But because when I was there, I would sit with the producers and I'm like, so why have we started shooting late? And start telling you, equipment, all these things. So I started realizing, our laws are a little weak. In terms of even legal assistance, they're afraid of lawyers. Why are they afraid of lawyers? We speak on the top like this in our office. So with Kizungu Mingi. So for me, that was a learning experience. With due respect to my learned friends, but that insight from the creative entrepreneurs really shaped me, and today when I see my clients produce films and they're on Netflix and they're winning awards, that's what keeps me going. When last week a few weeks ago with the UNESCO, Netflix, and the folklore, African folklore, I cried when I saw my clients' film. Because I was here doing legal, I don't have this other end, the creative eye. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, she just made Anyango and the ogre this thing. So that's what keeps me going. I want my children to wake up one morning and say, Mom, I want to sing. And I say, hey, go sing. Go do your thing. Yeah? So that's what keeps me going.
Question, you do both, and just very briefly, you're an artist yourself. You're a creative. But you decided that you wanted to help other creatives by being on the legal side to help them move forward, give information and guide them on the right laws and everything. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Some guys call me the IP evangelist. Bonasike told you, I show up at a place and I start talking to people about copyright and intellectual property, and guys are like, who's paying you? And I'm like, no, IP is your shamba. You don't just wake up in the morning and decide you're just selling without reading a contract, So for me, that is my goal.
I hear you listened to my story. My great-grandfather's shamba was that one physical. Our shamba is IP. Say my shamba is IP. Yeah, thank you. June, you went a little ahead of of that young lawyer there. I've known you as a musician since, oh my goodness, high school days?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're always a smart one. We knew you were going to become a lawyer.
Musicians are smart people.
Creatives are smart people.
Yes, they are. They are. You have to be. You have to be.
So law and I mean they're so far apart. Law is just like.
Are they? No. Okay,
Yeah,
you're right. They are.
Mm-hmm.
I think. So my story was not too different from Liz's. Just many years ahead. Before Liz was
In fact,
born.
you were her mentor, weren't you?
Yes, she worked with us and trained.
She's the fairy godmother of IP. She sprinkles all the fabulosity in IP.
Oh, nice! Oh,
Thank you. So
hashtag IP fairy godmother.
I think my first memory, I was that kid who would perform in front of anybody who would listen, neighbors, visitors, much to the embarrassment of my dear parents. You know how you take off a T-shirt and then it stops here and then it becomes your hair. That was what I used to do, and that was my wig for the performance, and I would have choreography. So I think that's like my earliest memory at the age of maybe like 7. And then so music and the arts I was introduced to them much earlier than I think most, because my father traveled to work in Europe, and so we were in an international school. So every week there was a skit, there was learning about somebody else's culture, and really international, from India, from China, from Japan, I mean everywhere. So it was a weekly requirement to actually perform, learn a song, learn a skit, do something, which of course was ati munasoma ama munacheza. Even my dear parents, because of our society here, it wasn't really something that we gave a lot of credit to. Fast forward, now I'm in plays, I'm in musicals and in the choir, and so it was such a core part of my life that it hasn't changed. And so when people say, when did you decide to choose? I'm like, it's not a decision about one or the other. It is a part of my life. And so when I was now deciding what to do, there was a moment there and I was like, I want to be a musician. I want to go to school and study. But I knew myself also. And I said, I might never graduate from music school because I just want to do it for the fun of it and the joy that it gave me. So my parents took me for music classes when I was a teenager, and I'm eternally grateful for them having done that. If you'd ask them now, they said, yes, we identified the talent. But the truth is different. The truth was, she's so noisy. Can we just give her to somebody else, But in that process, I then got to study, I got to learn, and my teacher then called my mom one day and said, why don't you let her do this thing longer? She said, what do you mean longer? She said, just let her come on Saturdays, we'll teach her theory, we'll teach her voice. And so I got that instruction much, much earlier. And just I thought I could sing great. I was terrible at the time. I was singing with my nose and not my diaphragm. So those things they teach you matter, for a consistent, long-standing career. So I then started watching a lot of TV, maybe too much, and I started watching LA Law and those things. I was like, ooh, that's kind of fun. Objection, Your Honor! I was like, ooh, I want to do that. And I wish there was a deeper story about why I studied law, but that's really it. So I went to read law because it looked cool on TV, and after my first year, I was like, oh man, I've messed up. I want to go back. They cheated us in the movie. Why these words changing? English words that you've known and lived with, they mean different things in law. So I came back, I told my dad, I'm done. This is not what the LA Law guy said. And he said, oh, so you're a quitter now? And I went, oh, you used the Q word on me? So I said, I'm not quitting. So I went back and I had to find the love in the law. And I realized that it really is just teaching you how to solve problems. That's it. The law is, people write laws, you can read them. As long as you can read, you can figure out how to solve a problem. But if you don't learn that skill about, here's a creative problem, here's a client who's having an issue, how do I help them resolve it? Even before the problem arrives, to Liz's point about we are feared, that has to change. We are your partners in your creative journey. We're your partners if you're trying to buy your shamba or create your shamba, whether it's a tangible property or intangible property. So if we start to portray ourselves like that, I think then we become part of your family, part of your organization, as somebody who can guide you, be a sounding board ahead of the drama. So that's sort of what I think, once that clicked for me, that's my entire approach now.
So actually it's giving information.
That's it.
Availing information.
That's it.
For the creative.
Yeah, and how is it relevant, to your particular scenario? So this one size fits all, that approach doesn't work. So if you tailor make it, understand your client, and that experience of having been in the industry, I've performed, I've been hired, I've been played, I've been the producer, I've been the employer, and all of that sort of circuit gives me some insight that I think, really I consider my little X factor. Yeah.
Interesting. Guys, it's very interesting that we have lawyers who are also in the same industry, in the creative industry. Yeah. Can you imagine if we had a doctor who's a lawyer or an engineer who's a lawyer? They're there. Wanafanyanga hivyo? Okay, sawa.
They are very old.
I thought we were special. Maggie, it's your turn now. You don't have to tell us. You started at 2 years old, eh?
No. For me, art is really a passion, a great passion. Unfortunately, when I was in high school, my art teacher thought that my art was so crappy. We were about, I think, 7 in a class, in the art class. And every time he used to see me, he used to tell me, "Umerudi tena." And for me, I felt that my art was really nice, like I could really draw. But for him, he was just not seeing that I could draw. And every time he would encourage me, this thing, you have to have passion for it. I think your drawing is not. But for me, I knew I was an artist.
Was it abstract? Were you drawing abstract?
No, I was drawing people. I was drawing people, and I thought I was really good. And I did it in high school. And after that, I went ahead and told my dad I want to be an artist. And because my dad didn't want me to stay at home, that period when you've just finished Form 4 and you need to be busy. So he asked me, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to go to an art school." So he told me, "Okay, you choose, I'll pay." So I went for a short course, art and design. And then after that, I joined the Kuona Trust, which was at the National Museums of Kenya. So at that time, I used to ask him for bus fare to go to the workshop. And then he was so shocked. He asked me, "Why are you pursuing this thing? You're supposed to be, I want to support a career, not a hobby." But I was telling him, I love this thing. I want to do this thing. And he told me, "I'm giving you 6 months to think about what you want to do." So every day I was going to Kuona Trust, and I kept on telling him, "This is what I want to do." So one day he told me that, "I'm not going to give you bus fare anymore. You have to know what you want to do." So I was at home really feeling sad about myself. And my mom is a creative person. So when she sees I'm at home, she would know we are japewa bus fare. So she would give me fare and tell me, "Chukua, this is for your week." And for a long time, actually, the men who I believed were going to support my artwork never really supported my artwork. My art teacher and my dad. And for a while, I was going to Kuona Trust, and then we then moved to the Golden Arts Center. So for 6 years, my dad never knew where I used to go.
6 years?
Yeah, so 6 good years. I just used to see me leave the house, come back, leave the house. Those days I'm broke, I stay at home. So one day he asked me, "I want to know where you always go. What is it that you always do?" So I told him, "I'll give you directions to the workshop." So when my dad came to my workshop, I saw him coming and someone was pointing and saying, I could tell that he was asking, "Where is Maggie?" And someone pointed. That time I was welding. So I'm a sculptor. I work in wood and metal. I do a lot of welding from junkyard and stuff. So I saw him, someone pointing, that's her. So he came very close. So I'm here with my welding mask. In fact, I really wanted to prove to him that, hii ndio kitu mufanya. So he came and stood and he was looking around and was wondering like, where is she? And then I removed my welding mask. He almost collapsed. And he asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, this is what I do. He said, but who is helping you? Whose machine is this? Are you the one who is doing this? I was like, yeah, I'm the one who is doing this. But who taught you this? So he was in shock. And so I told him, I'll take you through what I do. So I showed him my sculptures. I showed him my stuff. And for him, so he started asking me, is this what you really want to do? So I was like, yeah, I love doing this. So for me, it's really, really a passion. And you know, the way people say, you know, like when you see a chokora, for us, chokoras are these dirty, smelly people who just go through garbage. So for me, I'm a chokora because I go to junkyards and I just go through all those, you know, metal pieces and what. And there's actually a mama who owns a really big junkyard on Jogo Road. So when she sees me, she's always telling me, vitu zako ziko pale. So I go and grab myself. There are some guys always on the side saying, vitu zako la hazijakuja. So for me, it's just a passion of creating something from nothing. So many of my friends, when they have their cars, you know, put in pieces, they say, mbia Magi akuja chukue vitu zake. So I work a lot with the wood and metal. I also mentor, and I also realize that in my field, a lot of women, they feel intimidated with making sculptural works. But for me, it's just to encourage them that, anyway, this thing can work. And for my dad later on, he came to respect the art because he saw me doing public projects, being paid. He said like, hii kitu inaweza kakulipia rent. I was like, yeah, I even bought a car. And he said, na pesa ya art. So for me, it gives me so much joy that I can own things through my art. So yeah.
So no two pieces are the same, eh? They're all different.
They are all different. They are also different. So I like making spaces beautiful through art.
And you show some of her pieces, eh? Earlier on, they put the pieces on the screen. Well, thank you very much, Maggie. That is serious passion, eh? Your father is not giving you a bus fare for how long?
6 years.
For 6 years. And you keep going there. Well done, well done. Naomi!
Hey!
How you doing, girl?
Good.
You know, the way you have, it's like morphing into bigger and better. You know, every time doing more greater things. No need since the acting days. Those days. Yeah, now you're doing.
And I'm still acting. Why are you saying doing
still acting?
Yes.
Yeah. Which one of late?
Yes.
Aye, but I need to look out, man. You know, as guys who make
Catch
content,
up.
we don't watch TV. It's crazy. Anyway,
Catch up.
Tell us your passion. What is your passion?
Okay.
And why you do what you do.
All right. So for me, I wouldn't say it started as a passion. I would say it started as a need. I was acting. I was in radio. And you know how it is, eh? You're being called for Kalasha. You need to look all glammed up. And that time I was around, I think, 20 or 22, 23 there. So you can imagine I have all these pictures of Akina Beyonce, Akina Whitney Houston. You know, I want to look like them, eh? So I have all these beautiful glam gowns that I want, and I couldn't find them, you know. So you go to a local tailor with this, unaambia nataka kama hii, and what you ordered versus what you get is 2 worlds apart. And you know, I'm well blessed, you know, I'm well endowed. So, so it was really giving them a challenge, you know, to cut my pieces. And so it was quite disappointing. And so I used to get also referrals to go to boutiques or to go to supermarkets, you know, to find something glamorous for my events and for my TV interviews. And I remember there's a time I went to Nakumatt, remember those days? And I said, I'm looking for trendy, fancy clothes for a plus-size woman. And they told me, yeah, we have them actually, we do have them. Let's go this way. So then they took me to the maternity side.
So the understanding of plus size was maternity.
Those baggy t-shirts, baggy clothes. And so for me, I was really, really desperate. And I started now, you know, thinking, how can I, you know, if I'm going through this, how many other women? And we are in Africa. We are blessed. We are thick. We are beautiful. So if I'm going through this, how many women, you know, in Africa are going through this? And that's how I came up with my line. I was my first client. I remember I bought my machine. I bought my machine and all the fabrics that I've been admiring, and I put the tailor in my house. And for the first 4 months, he used to make my clothes strictly for me, and everything that I've been desiring on my Pinterest. And every time I used to wear my pieces, going for events, for interviews, and be like, hey, you're big, but you look so nice. Where did you get that outfit? I was like, I made it. Yeah, I made it. And that's how my line was born, Styled by Naomi. And I feel good every time I see women come into my space, to my studio, and they are big, despite their body shapes, I can be able to dress them and they can feel nice about themselves, love themselves more, look good, and conquer the world. So I'm really happy.
Lady, you look delightful. Doesn't she look great? It must be. Did you have to get tailors? What was the process like? Because or do you stitch yourself? I mean, I'm wondering.
Okay, to be honest, I started my business blindly, out of a need. That's why it's out of a need, not out of a passion. I had no fashion background, so I got tailors. Till to date, I have tailors. So I did. So it's been 6 years, so I've learned some processes about fashion. But my strength in fashion, in the fashion sector, is the business side of fashion. So I'm more strongly better in that than the tailoring and the sewing. I have an idea because I have done some courses along the way, but I can teach better when it comes to business of fashion. Yes.
How to make the money.
How to make the money, yeah. Sana.
Oh, thank you. Round of applause again for Naomi. So One Boy, the first time we met, I asked you, Ati One Boy. In fact, I think I saw the name first, One Boy, and immediately I clocked. You know, where I come from, I understand what One Boy means. One Boy is in Waboi. I mean, you know Waboi? Wambui? One Boy? Yeah, okay. So I understood what they were saying. But what shocked me was the people that you were hanging out with. Because these were international directors. Guys, you check the IMDb and you're like, hey, this guy has been, yeah? IMDb, internet? Movie database. You can see it over there. It's very big. Yeah? If you don't know, it's very, very big. If you're on IMDb, you're big. Yeah. So you were dealing with really big people. And in fact, you were very involved with first grader, weren't you? You actually, by the way, first grader was supposed to be shot in South Africa, but she tenaciously sat down with the director and told her, first grade is about a Kikuyu guy in Kenya. How are you doing it in South Africa? So she pulled it and it came to Kenya. This girl here, this one. Yeah. So please tell us about your past and how did you stumble on film?
Wow. First coming last from these beautiful women here, I'm like, wow, very humbled. Congratulations on every one of you and what you're doing, cheering you on. Good morning again to everyone. Almost going to midday. Almost. My name is One Boy Cairo. As Maneki said, One Boy is the industry name that people call me. How I got into film. I think I will say I got into film from a very young age. If I recall, there are many a times my father or my mother would find me sitting in front of a TV, which is a joke I was telling a bit earlier with some of the ladies here. I would always constantly sit in front of a TV, and it's because I was fascinated about what was happening in that tube. What are those people doing? How are they doing it? But more to do with the narratives. I was interested about, so what are those people doing? What has happened next? An action film? Oh, this is a horror, and so on. And so that interest had been there for a while. I just didn't know then that I was going to be a filmmaker. I just knew I was interested in anything that was in that little tube, right? And along the way, as kids are always asked, what do you want to be? My immediate answer was never a filmmaker. Funny enough, I wanted to be a musician. Whitney Houston was a very big influence in my life. Yeah, I loved how she dressed, how she sang. Her songs were interesting. I love dancing, by the way, so Whitney was a big influence. I wanted to be a mad scientist for some reason because I think we had watched Back to the Future back at the time, and I think that was a big deal. If you watched the movie Back to the Future, yeah, I think I wanted to be Dexter. He was a mad scientist, so I thought it was an exciting job to be mad specifically, because you need to be a bit crazy to do that, right? And then I progressed. So of course now that's like when I was younger. Then as I grew up, you get into now high school, and that's when you begin to participate in your music and drama fest. And I obviously was drawn to that because I could relate why theater was relatable with film, if that makes sense. And So then, of course, now when I got into now high school, I was more interested in being behind in the production of it than I was interested in being in front of anybody on stage.
Was that a conscious decision?
Funny enough, I found myself being very happy to organize things. Okay. It was just something I liked. I was happy to be like, okay, so now we'll do this, and you guys will come in from here. You know, I was more interested in that than actually being. Very rare would you actually find me in front of a stage like now. I'm very happy to be in the production side of it, if that makes sense. So who knows that all those decisions were leading up to where I am today. Anyway, then so when I was finishing off high school, another funny thing. In primary school, I was the entertainment prefect. Why? I
that
think
means you chose the movies that people watched.
Yeah, it's literally that. I was in a little boarding school out in Thika. It was a Catholic school. Every weekend, actually on Friday, the nun would come to me and ask me to write a list. And then I even told her which video store to come to, because of the days when we used to have video stores, VHSs.
Video cassette.
And yes,
you
video
guys
cassette.
know what a video cassette is? Let me look for the youngest person in the room.
and I would write a list of all the films I'd watched during the holidays, which, funny enough, I don't know why back in the 80s they had a lot of horrors. So half my list was interesting horrors and things like that, and a few actions here and there, and maybe one or two romances. But that was what was watched back in the day, if you think about it. And so anyway, coming to high school. So by the time I'm finishing off, my parents asked me what I wanted to do. And I knew I was very interested in film. Now it had really become very clear to me that film was what I wanted to do, because you could tell by progression my interest in that specific type of art. And I remember telling my father I want to go to the famous UCLA, because that to me was the epitome of what the film industry is. Which, by the way, even then would only accept 9 students internationally, but it was my aspiration. Anyway, I never did get to go to UCLA. Actually, a funny thing happened. I keep telling everybody how I ended up in the film industry is the usual cliche. I happened to take someone for an audition. And yeah, I took a friend insisted I take them for an audition. I was like, okay, fine, let's go. And we went to the National Theatre. And so they're lining up, as you said, lining up from some odd hour to another odd hour. And then at some point, the casting director, a guy called Lenny Juma, I don't know if you guys know him, legendary, happened and said, "Nawewe, hata wewe kuja hapa ujaribu." I'm like, no, but I brought my friend. No, hata wewe kuja hapa. So then I went and I auditioned, and lo and behold, I got the part and not my friend, which was really awkward.
Are you friends?
And I end up being on, I think what we usually say is the first celluloid film made by an African woman here in Kenya, known as Catherine Mwigai. The film was called Saikati and Kambani. No, Catherine Mwigai. The producer, the producer was Catherine Mwigai. The director was Anne Mungai. The film was called Saikati and Kambani. I was one of the actors in that film. Then I was like, oh wait, hold on, there's actually a film industry in Kenya. Because at the time when I was thinking I wanted to go out to go study it, I didn't think that there was film in Kenya. And then I was fascinated. Because it was a big film, it was a celluloid film. Those are the days when you used to film with Kodak, in terms of film reel, film cans, and not what you're doing digital today. And then thereafter, I had a real hunger to be now interested in the film industry. I was like, oh, why am I going out when it's actually here? So here's a little fun fact. I got on my first international film project thereafter in this very same building. This one we stood here. So it's so funny that this is the place that we came today. I was like, wow, like full circle. So right after Saikati, I heard about this international film that was being done, I think a year later. Actually, a year later. And I asked a friend to introduce me to the producers who were doing it. Their offices was right across here, where you were having tea in the morning, that long stretch, that's where their offices were. I remember I came in, I had nothing to my name other than just my name. I met the local producer. Her name is Jenny Pont, runs a production company called Pontac Productions, very local. And I, introduced myself. My name is Wamboy. I'm interested in film. Can I get on this job? She said, yeah, sure. Report tomorrow. And
hold up. You, no CV?
Nothing.
No experience?
Nothing. So I got
willing availability.
Yes. So I got on to my first international film called To Walk with Lions. right across here.
Yeah,
and that's To Walk with Lions is about George Adamson. And I was obviously working as a production runner or assistant, whatever you want to call it. Same was up if I'm asked. And that's where I began. That's where I understood. Oh, international films are made in Kenya. And you can't get experience in the industry. So in actual essence, why I sit here today is because courtesy of actually working next door right here, I've worked my way from working, and I also discovered that there's different types of filmmaking or film productions. So my company, One Boy Productions, is in the business of servicing foreign producers. Fixer. The layman term is fixer. But yes, we fix for international projects. And why? Because my first teacher was across right here. I learned the art of fixing in this very building. Thank you.
Now, Jenny Pont, a grand applause. Jenny Pont was also involved, I believe, in what is that? The one with the one for pirates.
Oh gosh, wow.
What is it called? That movie with for pirates. No. The one of Somali pirates over here.
Well, there's different ones. There's the one which you're talking about, which has Tom Hanks.
Yes, that one. It's not the one.
But not that one. She did a different one. Similar concept, similar story, because at that time there was a lot of piracy going on. But if you were to talk about her and what projects she has done that maybe was mentioned in the introduction, would be, besides To Walk with Lions, really brilliant film. I got to meet I forget his name, Richard Harris, who is passed on right now. She did The White Maasai, which is a brilliant film based on a bestseller novel on a real life. Actually, it's an autobiography. She did Nowhere in Africa, which is a film, funny enough, I'm more proud of than Constant Gardner. I'll tell you why. Nowhere in Africa is a German film, obviously now shot here. And it's about a German family that was
the Germans are very happy.
A German family who were Jewish, and they were forced to come into Africa. Of course, not here, so hence for the purpose of the story, were forced to run away into Africa because that was a time when Hitler was reigning and he was killing Jews and so on. Anyway, the reason I love this particular film is because it won an Oscar for Best Foreign Picture that year. Now, what does that mean for anybody who worked on that film? It means all of us collectively won the Oscar.
Can you hear that story, guys? I'm sitting next to an Oscar winner. So Lupita was not the first.
So that one I really feel very proud of. Constantine, as you mentioned, is another film which Rachel Weisz won. Another big one that I really, really feel proud of is what you rounded off, is the Maruge Kimani film. And yes, I just happened to be in LA for a film-related event. I met the producer who was intending to go and film the film in South Africa. I told him he was out of his mind, dragged him. Within a month, he was in Kenya. And we were looking for people to sponsor to make the film. Unfortunately, he didn't get funding here. But because he agreed to come to Kenya, he loved the country, went back, found sponsors, and the film was made here.
Absolutely incredible. Great. Now, the one thing that is very interesting is that some of you made conscious decisions, others of you stumbled upon what you're doing now. But one thing is true for all of us. You need information, you need knowledge to be able to take this to the next level and make money out of it. Right? Right, Maggie? You need knowledge. So, how does IP help us turn this intelligence or this intellectual stuff into cash money, fari? Because at the end of the day, money makes the world go round, and we can be able to enhance what we're doing. Who would like to go first on that question? Oh, June, the microphone is straight to you.
How does IP help us?
Yes, to make money. To turn to money.
Okay, so I think the first thing is it's first an appreciation that whatever field in the creative industry or cultural industries that you're in, it's no different than any other profession. That's the first thing. How you got into it, what our society thinks about it, in my mind is irrelevant if you make the decision to continue stumbling in, whether you're intentional or it happened. I keep saying that if you were going to start a business in town, you would go and research, and you say, what do I need? Which licenses? Which place would be the best place for me to set up my business? How do I market my business? Where do I get my clients? How do I retain them? What's my budget? Nobody tells you you need to do those things if you decide to start a business. But for some reason, when you are in the creative and cultural space, it's an expectation that everybody else should support us. Everybody else should hold our hand because we are coloring their world. And that, for me, I think is where the biggest problem that we need to solve is. Too many times, I think, we meet creatives who really don't know. And I think it's just how the brain works, because they actually say that if you're creative minded and you're not great at administration, there's those studies about personality traits and I think it's complete crap, and I think you have to do the work because it's a decision that you make. God gives you talent, yes, but the work and the business is on you. And I keep telling people, if you're looking for somebody to be nice, I'm not that person. I think if you decided to be in the creative industry, and that's why I applaud all of you who are here, you're investing your time and knowledge to learn more and how you can improve and increase your business. So if you're just doing it to make us happy, thank you, we appreciate it. But if you're doing it to make a living, then you need to do your own research. Just like everybody else in every other profession is doing their research, we have that responsibility. That then leads me to the kind of information that you then need to know specifically for your sector. And if you're in fashion, you probably need to know a little bit about the manufacturing side. Where do you get your fabric from? Are there good tailors? These designs that you're making, at some point, this tailor, maybe you've had this experience over the last 6 years, how many tailors have run away with your design? And they say, but she didn't stop me. And then, and then the question I would ask is, it's not the tailor's fault, because you never maybe made it clear to the tailor that this is not his, this is mine, right? So, we've had so many of these types of instances, and unfortunately what it's shining a light on is that the information is available, but we don't see that it is a crucial part of the first step. We see it as, oops, I've been burnt, now let me go and find out who can help me. So I really feel like in every forum, that's the thing I want to always start with and say, you are responsible for your own knowledge. And now, it's not like 20 years ago when there wasn't that much available information on intellectual property. The Kenya Copyright Board now exists. 20 years ago it did not. It was a little desk at Sharia House. Yeah. I sat at that desk on the side here learning from Dr. Ouma, and now there's a whole organization. So I think that's the first thing. So IP is really intellectual property. There's the business side of things. There's what we call, your trademarks and your industrial property. Even by the name, if you're in industry, you would need to know what are the different rights that can help you protect the things that you create. So trademarks is your logo. All of us probably have a logo that we've seen. There's logos behind us here. These are things that you would register as a trademark. If you're in design, you have industrial designs, the shapes of these bottles, glasses, shoes, things that we use on a daily basis that have functionality to them, utility models, patents. But also this other side that we call copyright, which is predominantly where we are seated today because of our theme, creativity and innovation. And that could be anything from music, literary works, film production, audiovisual works, sculpting, all of that then is covered. And I think the last thing I'll say is that there are laws that exist. You don't need to read the entire law to become a lawyer. Let me just say that. That's why we are here. That's why we went to school, and that's why the Kenya Copyright Board exists. That's not your job. Your job is to have a peripheral view and say, at least najua kuna kashadia somewhere, and I have rights. Now, what are those rights that you enjoy as a creator? Which ones do you enjoy exclusively? Which ones can you license? Which ones can you assign? What do those words mean? Because they'll show up in contracts. And ultimately, contracts define a lot of how business is done. So don't sign contracts if you've not understood them. Ask somebody, help me in simple English understand that. And for the lawyers in the room, please use simple English. But now those days of hitherto, therefore, these are it's outside. It's the past. Your clients need to understand what you're saying.
You know, there's something very important you've said there. You said, Mudhoni has enjoyed that. You know, the creative wants to be freed to create. Yes. But you've said something very important there. They must know the business as well. Yes. Isn't that interesting? In fact, you said it this way. The work and business is on you. Because at the end of the day, as the creative guys, you are the owner of that IP. You are the boss. But now you have to do the business. Mudhoni, have you been forced to do the business of books? Is it something that you would like to do, or you have to do it?
Hell yes. You know, creating for passion, just because you like it, because it inspires you, because it feeds you, is such a privilege. Many, many people do art because it is a must. It's their blood. It's how they have to make a living. You know, we were chatting about that with Maggie. You're born to be creative, but you've got to make a living. You have to find that whatever. So it's been a journey to get there, because I acknowledge my privilege that art has always been for me for pleasure. Getting into publishing so late in my life, or getting into writing, because I came from the corporate world, worked in the corporate world, and it's not until I turned 40 that I wrote my first story, and and it was such a departure, and I give thanks to the people who inspired me, especially the Kwani lot, like Binya and Billy and that, and Ivona War and people like that. But anyway, coming back to the business, what I have discovered on the journey with Story Moja, I have so much to say to, like, KECOBO have been amazing for us. In 2017, after many years of struggle, when we thought Story Moja surely is just about to die, it was collapsing every day, we won a set book, which, for those who don't know, is like winning the Oscar in when it comes to publishing. Because for the first time now you're thinking, I am really going to turn the business around. You get this, and every student in the country has to read this book if they're in high school. And it is so exciting, but it is truly scary. Because you have to borrow the money to print, you have to borrow the money to warehouse, you have to borrow the money to do everything. But having said that, the very first month before the book has even come out, it's at the printers. And you are in hawk up to here. And then you start getting calls from all over the country telling you your book is on sale. And you're wondering now, what is this? And you then discover, you know, it's a long journey, but then you discover, oh, somebody who worked for the printer, made a photocopy, went, printed, you know, etc., etc. And it forced me to really think about copyright. And I remember the first time I visited KECOBO was literally to ask, what is IP? How do we protect it? What do we do? And when it is infringed, how do we pursue it? And then when we start doing it, realizing we have to employ full-time people to do this, because the amount of time it takes to enforce the visits to the crazy visits to, you know, on raids with the counterfeit, the anti-counterfeit police and the wonderful people from KECOBO. It is mind-boggling, like that journey. I remember going on a raid. If you think it's not women too, women are also the bad guys, not just the good ones. One of the biggest raids that I personally went on was in Gong Town, where a lady had a house full of our books, you know, that they have printed. We've seen containers full of books that have been brought in from China, you know, that are pirated. the effect on the publishing industry of piracy, copyright infringement is huge. So some say even up to, especially textbooks and set books, that up to 40% of them are pirated.
You're kidding me.
It is a criminal cartel. It is not small. But it is a journey to get there, because there is a sense that, but surely, how harmful is it? How many of you have received a book online? Miguna's book, Juihu's book, yeah? It is just sent to you online. I remember it's theft, it's copyright theft. And I remember, but how do you enforce it? Because copyright theft is so easy to do. It seems harmless. You think it's only you, but it's hundreds, thousands. You're literally taking the bread from the author, from the author's mouth.
Author of his revenue.
Correct. I remember at a university talking about, I was invited to talk to young writers, and they were telling me, oh, we are such a fan of your writing and all that. And at the time, I had a story that was shortlisted for the Kane Prize. So I was getting a lot of positive, feedback. And I was feeling good, because the first time really I stepped out as a writer. And then at the end of the talk, I can't tell you how many came with photocopies for me to sign. And at the time, because like I said, for me it's a privilege, I actually was not that upset. I was like, okay, I get, maybe books are expensive, maybe whatever. And it really influenced when I started Story Moja, like, okay, make books very inexpensive, whatever. And then realizing, actually, you know what? For it to be a business, you have to really think through all the different levels that, what June was talking about.
Including distribution, the big one, yeah.
Everything. It's a manufacturing process. It's just the same as making clothes. You've got to get the writers in, you've got to hire the editors, you've got to hire the administration, the finance, you've got to set up your warehouse, you've got to do distribution, you've got to market, yeah? You've got to print, you've got to, it's a whole business, and it's a whole chain of operations that you're running. You need operations managers, you have finance. I mean, at Story Moja, we're over 50 now. So
Wow, that's a round of applause, guys. Yeah.
Thank you. And just by the way, this, we were just saying this morning at Story Moja, we've just hit our 500th author.
Whoa, well done. Half a century, well done.
Yeah. Authors. So different authors who have written, whom we have published.
Excellent.
Which is really thrilling.
It's very, very telling that there is a process for this whole thing. And that's what's called an industry. Because it's not just one segment of it's a whole, what do you call this thing when you call production assembly line? That's what I'm looking for. Waithera, is there an assembly line for music?
Yes, there is. But let me comment first on what June has hit the nail on the head. I think as creatives, and as musicians, we tend to lean heavily on the artistic side. We really don't look at the business side. Even if I talk about my story, I started my music career in 2014, but it's only in 2017 that I started to discover about IP. And again, that's through June. I attended a forum run by the PRISC, the Performance Rights Society of Kenya, and June was the one heading the workshop. So truly, she is an IP fairy godmother. So you can imagine, within those 3 years, I don't know if it's whether I didn't have the interest or what she's saying. We don't do our due diligence before we get into the career. We don't research. Like any business, you need to do your research. You need to be able to understand all those rights. So I classify my career as, my solo career was between 2014 to 2017. Then from 2018 onwards is now Wanavokali. So that's now when, from 2017 is when I started actually learning about IP, learning about how we can treat our music as a business, learning about how we can make money. And when you say about an assembly line, now that's when I learned, like, even when going to studio and recording, everyone in the value chain of the production should be able to earn some rights and royalties from the music. Not just you as a performer, not just the producer, every single person involved in that. Yes, everyone involved in the composition, the arrangement, the performance. But those are not things I was aware of. I think the information is there, but you really, really have to work hard. You have to actually dig deep and look for that information. So yes, there is an assembly line for music as well.
Is that your responsibility as the managing director, to the business side of things?
Yes, and I'm learning on the go. And again, this industry, that's how it is. You kind of have to learn on the go. Yeah.
Now, when you look at guys who've gone before us, we look at people like Sauti Sol. I think Sauti Sol is the best example I can give, who've turned their music into a serious business.
Yes.
I mean, is that what you're looking at doing?
Yeah, definitely. That's what we are looking into doing. Again, when I got into music, my assumption was you can only make money through performance. So for my solo career, between 2014 to 2017, I focused mostly on live performance, not even recording. But Sauti Sol have been able to really diversify their business. They're doing so many things, and that's what we also want to get into doing. Not just music releases, not just music performance, just to be able to diversify the brand.
And you have a beautiful brand, by the way. Wonderful.
Thank you so
much. Beautiful brand. Don't you think so? Thank you. I feel like I can trust it.
Oh wow, thank you.
So keep going. Bring me a hoodie sometime. I'll buy.
we also want to go into merchandising. Yeah. One of the things. No, not yet.
Liz, we're talking about the business of creativity. Now, when we're doing business, sometimes we kosana with guys. Sometimes we want to, her whatever has taken her designer. What do you call it? No, not designer. Your tailor has decided to go and do for somebody else at half the price. And you're in the tribunal. And tell us about that. Is that what you're here to do, to help us to sort our problems out when you're arguing with each other, and to speak simple English, which the lawyers are refusing to speak?
So unfortunately, this question will force me to sound a little lawyerly.
Please, go ahead.
Because we're established under the Act. And at the moment, our mandate is a little restricted. So when you look at how we've been constituted and the powers we have, what we can do, like you said, everyone just thinks KECOBO is about CMOs. They only help CMOs, So we have a lot of disputes. We hear matters on, decisions made by KECOBO affecting CMOs. If they feel that it was unfair, they will come to us. If as a user of music and you went to camp or PRISC or MCSK, these are the CMOs, and they didn't give you access to music, and they have the rights to license, you come to us and say, hey.
Wait. A user of music is who?
A user of music is like you and me. If one boy wanted to use a song, maybe.
For a movie.
Or something.
Or my club.
That is the place they would initially go and find out information and all that stuff. So if the CMO decided, I'm not going to talk to you or something, like those kind of issues, if there is a doubt in terms of who owns the music or something, they would go there for that information.
Let me give an example, so I can contextualize it. I remember there was Sauti Sol song that was used during campaign time, and they were complaining, but the CMO said that we gave permission, but Sauti Sol said we didn't get money from this. Is that when you guys come in and try and tattoo that story?
Yes. So that could be something, but again, that issue was very complicated because again, I think because we're having a lot of more conversations around IP, people are slowly also understanding when they're being misled. So unfortunately, some CMOs are misleading rights holders, okay? Some CMOs have employed some very unfair business practices. They have gone above and beyond the law, okay? Because, when you go technicalities of copyright, the copyright is an exclusive right of the author. Ni shamba yako. It means I decide what kind of poles I will put as a fence, what crop I will grow. That's what it means, So there is only a small section that you assign to the CMO where you can't scratch your back, which is public performance, So, I can't go to every restaurant and I come to Sarova and I say, hey, Judy is my client, you played her music. Today give me 1,000 bob. Then tomorrow I come back for 3,000 bob. It's not practical. Or I go to KBC and I say, hey, you performed Waithera's song and Wanavokali's song. I think you guys owe 10 Gs. I go and pay my client, So that's the ethos behind CMOs. However, remember again, when you join a CMO, you're not being forced. So you're going to sign a contract. Yeah? Are you reading your contract? That is where the problem is. Yeah? So many artists are joining CMOs, but they're not reading contracts. June said, if you don't understand, just come. Unfortunately, again, unfortunately or fortunately, we have to respect each one's hustle, right? So the law is crafted in a different way, in a certain way. There's a way we write laws. Even though we will strive to make our contract as simple as possible, there will be some tenants that have to be drafted in a specific fashion. So which means at the end of the day, when you're given a contract, go to a lawyer and get them to interpret it, right? Again, now let me tell you the other problem creatives have. I have a friend. My friend has done law. So that is a very big problem. Because June is my friend, yes, but there'll be like a couple of dynamics. Maybe June is jealous, so she will tell me how she feels it. So she's not telling me the truth, but I'm like, she's my friend, she's my homie. Like, she's giving me the truth on the ground. Yeah, it's not even her area of expertise, but she will purport to be one. Yeah? So people are always ready for the freebies. Unfortunately, for the creative sector, they are always ready for the freebies. So I'm like, it's important that you do your homework. The way we said that homework is the whole value chain. You won't just, when you're buying a piece of land, for example, you want to know the history. Does it have a title? If you're from a very superstitious community, you want to know if someone killed themselves on that land. Because maybe your crop will fail, yeah? Like, there's a process, right? So that like tends to be...
Shakahola Ranch, eh?
You know? So that becomes a whole issue. Because, again, by the time you're coming to our tribunal, you would need to have had all this information so that you know, am I in the right forum? Or how can I make it the right forum? And that alludes to how, for now, the creatives can take advantage of our platform, of our tribunal. You can basically, when you draft your contracts, submit to the copyright tribunal. As a professional, as a creative, you know that we have a specific tribunal that understands copyright. Yeah? And you don't want to be stuck in court 3 years. IP has the shelf life of a banana. Today you're hot, tomorrow you're down, it's rotten. Yeah? So the tribunal has a quicker turnaround time. We are not stuck in formalities and procedure like litigation. June and I will tell you, the reason June and I don't do litigation is because when you're moving a matter in court, there are specific forms. There's an art. And then remember, opposing counsel also is exercising that art. Yes. You counter and like it's a dance. It's a dance, right? Yeah. But in the tribunal, we don't have time for dance. It's about facts. It's about evidence.
Blood on the dance floor.
Yeah. So, as we are figuring out the legislative developments, because we are a bit restricted, if you submit your contract to the tribunal, in 60 days, you have your judgment. Okay. Maybe even faster, because for us it's about the end game. We don't have time to scat about the issues. No. We're like, where is the evidence? Show us, sort of thing. So we're really encouraging, creatives to do that. To stop going on social media. For the last couple of years, everyone is just fighting on social media. Yeah. Oh, so and so stole my art. So and so stole my designs. Social media. But are you making money? Because IP is about money. That is the end game. Yeah? Just...
Wait. So if you make a ruling, that ruling is law. Basically,
yes.
It's considered...
It's binding. It's binding, and it's jurisprudence. Yeah, okay. And that's what
Okay.
The tribunal.
So that is information. Now, if anybody is watching this, and you guys, if you have got a dispute, go to the tribunal.
Yeah, come to the tribunal. Put it in your contract.
And even me as a singer, I can come. Me as an actor, I can come.
Yes.
If you have a problem with
as
my producer.
As long as it's a copyright issue, come to us.
So. Copyright tribunal, guys. Umesikia? Amos, umesikia? Hiyo ni muhimu? I'd like that. Thank you very much, Liz. I appreciate that very much. Maggie, is there anybody you need to take to the copyright tribunal?
Not yet. No, not yet.
Not yet.
But it's interesting just listening in because sometimes when I have commissions that I'm doing, and the commissions are huge, and I get...
This is commissioned work, eh?
Yeah, commissioned work. And I get people to help me. sometimes I work with Juakali guys who are quick to do their thing. And most of them are either welders or people who work in wood. And sometimes when we have finished doing the work, wanapendanga sana kupiga picha. And most of the time what happens is they go and say, this is what I have done. Yeah. And for a long time I used to allow them because I didn't understand that they can actually use this to get people to do that for them. So they will put this on their, let's say, Instagram page, and then they will say, this is the kind of thing that I do, and this is the kind of thing that I do. And
that is taking your IP directly.
Yes. So what used to happen is that when someone looks at that and tells them to do something like that, they would not be able to. Yeah. So I've been safe like that, but for a very long time I didn't know how to do that. And I feel that as artists, sometimes we are careless like that. Wacha kazi ifanyike haraka, client anakuja kuona, alafu tuende. Because even when it comes to contracts, I have felt that there's a need even for huyo mtu wa Juakali assign contract na mimi. Yes. I didn't know that before. And what used to happen is that even the contracts that I used to have with the people who are commissioning me, I will just go to the website. Nichukue contract hapo.
Copy paste.
Yeah, it was just copy paste. Yes. I will just take and copy paste, and I would not think about the content where there's IP or anything like that. And actually that put me in trouble because I did some work for Garden City. I did some sculptures for their garden. And I think I did it in 2015. And what happened is that there's a time I like visiting my sculptures when they are in public spaces, even in private spaces. I like visiting them because sometimes as artists, we are very emotional with our stuff, so we like visiting the work. And just to see that they are being kept well, they are being maintained well. So I once went to that establishment and I saw the artwork was not looking nice and I was not happy. So I went to the management and I introduced myself. I told them I was the artist. And the lady just went to the office, stayed for a while, brought another guy. And I really had to convince them that it is my work. Ni mimi ndio nilifanya hizo kazi. Because they could not understand. Are you the one who does? In fact, when I've done my pieces, people don't believe that I actually weld, I actually do the work. So most of the time I have to prove to people like,
you need to profiling.
Yeah. So when I went to the office, I was explaining to them that I'm an artist and I did the work that they have in the garden, and I don't like the way it looks. Because there's a kind of brand that I want to showcase to people, and I felt that they were not showcasing that very well. And until now, that's 2015, until now, it has been so hard to get those guys to allow me. And I told them I'm going to do it for free. I'm going to clean them up for free, but they have never allowed me to do that. But also, it's because they don't even know, they don't have a record of my name attached to those artworks. Because when I was doing the work, the person who commissioned me did not, so this is what happened. This person came and told me, Maggie, can you do the sculptures? And I said yes. So then, this person was the one who was signing things.
Yes, okay.
So me, I just came and installed the pieces. So there's nothing in that work that can say, this is Maggie Otieno's work, it was done in 2015, this is this. So those are the challenges that I've had to face, and at least I'm learning.
What advice would you give a June for that particular instant, June?
We are going to Garden City tomorrow.
Nice one!
No, I think it would be important to look for the person who commissioned you first, who engaged you, I think, and just make that requirement. I think connection. I'm really happy to hear the word brand on this panel because it is really important.
Brand is important.
And it's an area that's out of copyright, it's in trademark, but all of you must be thinking about protecting and registering your brands as well. And what does that brand mean? You know, you said Wanabakali feels like a brand you can trust. Yours needs to be a brand that we can see for long You understand? It's 2015, we're in 2023.
Kama Picasso too.
Yeah, so that person who actually signed the contract, you can go and ask them and say, hey, my guy, you came to me for a reason, because you knew I'd do a good job. I did a good job. Allow me to help maintain that good job. So I think that's where we would start, but we are going tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you, June. Naomi, I want to end up with this corner here.
Right.
You have a brand. It's called Naomi?
Style by Naomi.
Style by Naomi. Is that something that you learned business-wise? How did you decide that, or is that how fashion is done? It's easier for fashion than it is for sculpturing.
I think it's even worse for fashion. Because of me, I remember my problem started early. So, like I said, I started my business blindly. I didn't have any business management. I didn't have any background in fashion and design. So, for me, it was just kutafuta tailor, kukuja, niko na design kwa simu, let's execute this, So, my problem started first with the guy I got for designing my logo. Logos, yes. So I met this guy in Tao. They designed my logo, and then I paid them. So after like 2-3 years, this guy calls me. Now when my brand started growing and it's becoming big, and he's like, "I want to trademark your logo," and I'm like, "Trademark my logo? How? It's my logo." Yeah. So that's when now I started to search. So I actually told a friend of mine. There's someone who is blackmailing me that they want to take away my brand and they want to start their own fashion line under that name because he had all the credentials and everything.
The audacity.
Yes. So that was my first awakening call. Because for me, for the longest time, when you hear Kenya copyright, for musicians only. I never thought it applies to fashion or art or anything. We've grown up seeing watu wa music wakiharaswa na watu wa copyright. So in your mind, you're unajua. It's only meant for musicians, yeah? So it's during that time.
Inspectors wanacheka pale.
So that's definitely part of, I got the awakening and started doing my research and the importance of now, trademarking my logo and for my business. So the second encounter that, of course, I got is same as Maggie's. Someone come in and tell me, oh, there's a fashion show in Texas, Houston. Would love you to showcase your pieces. Nini. I was excited. Nenda America, yo. So I've made it. Nenda Maju,
Mama made it.
Mama, I made it. So I never bothered to look at the contract. Okay. You don't have that opportunity to pass you by. So, but by the time tunafika huko, kumbe, I'm not even, so I'm seeing, so when the models are going through the runway, so I'm waiting to see Style by Naomi. And then I see the name of the person who brought me there. Designs. So I'm like, okay, maybe mine is coming later. So after the runway, I'm like, I didn't see my logo, I didn't see my name. What happened? It's like, no, I told them they are my designs, so they can let you in. Yeah, so it was quite sad. So those are some of the challenges. And I was just talking with Aiko, like, as young entrepreneurs, as people who get into entrepreneurship with not so much business background, I think that there should be more information and knowledge and awareness. Things like this, more workshops, more forums. Like I'm sure today people will leave here with a lot of knowledge from Akina Liz and Akina Julie. So let's not assume they know. I didn't know, honestly. I didn't know. And that's also taking back. I remember there's someone also I asked about trademarking during that time, during that chaos, and the person I went to consult with also told me, no, don't trademark your name right now. Just give yourself 4 or 5 years. Ndio ukwe sure hii business unataka kufanya. And he was a lawyer, by the way. My friend.
Your friend.
My friend.
That one. Jealous.
Jealous. So it's like it's too early to trademark your business name. You just relax. You might trademark it, use a lot of money, and it takes time. It will take you like 6 years to trademark your business. So just be sure this is what you want to do in the next 4 or 5 years, and don't waste that money. So let's keep on doing this kind of forums. Let's spread the information. Call SMEs, entrepreneurs. They may not know. There are a lot of assumptions there. poor mentorship, poor information. So if we can be doing this more often, then it can help entrepreneurs like us.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Grace has something to say. Goja kidogo, Grace. Unajua tukienda kotini tunaambiwa na nini na magistrate anasemaje? Ignorance is no defense. So when we started here, Juna Lizema, she said, if you are getting into this thing, the work is on you. And I think it's very important that that message goes out today. That if you want to start something or you're doing something, the work to make sure that it continues properly in the industry, the work is on you. You need to go out and find out. This information is available online. Did you know, for instance, if you come up with a creation, you can actually register it for free. At the moment, is it still free? It's 100 bob, for 100 bob on the National Rights Registry. And once it is there, including this logo of yours, nobody can come and say ati hii ni yangu. Okay, you have to take it to trademark, of course, I understand, yes. But for the logo, yes. But to start off, everything, you can have it there to start off. And then you say, now you follow the rest. And the lawyer will tell us more, but yes. I can see I'm misleading people, kidogo. One small thing, okay, before we go to Kate.
Allow me just to say something, because Maggie mentioned this word, and some of these words get thrown into contracts, like Liz was saying. The word, she said, when I was commissioned. Tell your neighbor, commissioned.
Commissioned.
He who commissions
gives you a contract.
Owns.
Oh.
He who commissions owns. So please, don't go, like even the person who you commissioned to create your logo, ownership passes once you have paid. Because it's not theirs. That if the thing existed before, if you came up with a design and a sculpture today, and then somebody says, I want to buy that, that's yours. You came up with that, and it's not that your creativity is in question. The thing is, who owns? It is the person who commissioned. So if in any of our scenarios, if you're commissioned to write a book, if you're commissioned to compose a song, if you're commissioned to come up with a sculpture design and you something that is fashion related, it is the person who has commissioned you who will own it. You have subject to your moral, you have, correct. So you have your moral right that you can be associated with the thing, that so at least you have your way of keeping your brand and your marketing alive, but also the contractual requirements, because each of you have said there was a contract, you may not have read it, or in your case there was no proper contract. Reading what those terms and conditions mean is extremely important. So there are people who create things and say, I want to register. The question is, who commissioned you, if at all it was a commission, and what are the terms of that contract? Yeah. Okay.
What? Okay, that becomes very complicated. Give a round of applause there. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give one boy 3 minutes, and then after that, just 3 minutes, sorry, my dear. Nataka kuongea Kiswahili kidogo. And after that, tutaenda kwa swali kama una, I can see your hand over there. If you have a question, a comment, we'll have a bit of interaction. I would like to close by midday. I'm a bit early. We started late, eh? We started late? Is that the reason? Yeah, because when I sat here it was 10 o'clock. Was it 10 o'clock?
No, it was 9:45.
It was 9:45? It's me who wants to extend it another 15 minutes. All right. So I don't stand between you and tea. But yes, one boy. In film, are there these issues of IP? And okay, you're on the production side, so I don't know. What can we say?
Yes, they are. I'm going to try.
In fact, I have a very good question for you. I've remembered. Okay. Say what you're going to say, then I have a question for you.
I think go ahead and ask, then I'll put it all together.
The question is this. We have been asking ourselves as producers whether we need a collective management organization. Can we not scratch every part of our back for ourselves in film? Unlike in music. Because in music, the music is played in discos. Discos, by the way, is clubs. It's played in those kind of, and we can't go to every single bank or every single club and ask for them. But when I'm selling my film, I go to a broadcaster and I actually know what my deal with them is. Okay, that's a tough question. But
No, it's
you
not a
don't have
tough
to
one.
answer.
I've
You don't have
actually
to
sat in several meetings with
We've
you,
had so
CMO.
many meetings. Yes, I know we've had many meetings.
And you've thrown a can of worms right there. But anyway, let me try and begin with the
IP,
politer
yes.
versions before I get to that. Yes, we do have IP issues in our sector, film specific. I'll give different case scenarios if to be able to kind of explain. Like I mentioned earlier before, my company is specifically in the business of fixing production service of foreign producers. So in my case, when a client comes to me, they've already figured out their creative works, and all they've come to me is to help them get that particular project done. So to some extent, I could almost call it commissioning, if I want to use June's terms loosely for this particular conversation. So in essence, they've come to hire me to finish off their work. So I have no ownership of that creative work, right? If that makes sense. So that's now me as a fixer. Now let me go to me as a producer who maybe is producing local and or international projects. In that case, I have found a random writer. I think I had 2-3 writers in the room. Yeah, Abigail being one of them, and I think there's another lady somewhere in the middle. Yeah, and I love their idea. And in essence, I would like to now get to do that idea. So me and Abigail become good friends. I've read her script. I love it. So I will pay her, yeah, a fee, yeah, for ownership of that. In other words, there's different rights you can get. There's one which I am buying out, like I buy out totally, now it belongs to me. So long as in the credit I'll acknowledge that original idea came from Abigail, because maybe I may buy it and decide, I want to change a few things here, but I still need to at least credit her morally, yes, if I want to use the terms that June is using. I think the lawyers can correct me as I go along, to now morally mention that yes, there was an initial original writer, and then maybe me and others went and added 2-3 words here and there to now maybe give it what you see as a screenplay today. So I want to use June's words here. Which is commissioning, or rather, there's 2 variations. There's where I can commission Abigail to write for me a script, or she already wrote one, and in essence, I buy it from her, or I license it from her. I'd rather use the word buy it from her, and then I'm able to produce. Now, everyone I work with, whether it's from a fixing perspective, where I'm production servicing people's work, or I'm not producing my content for consumption, everyone I hire, as far as the local, including actors, the crew, generally everyone I hire is a work for hire, which means they have no ownership to the creative work. Yeah, the one who has ownership of the creative work is me, who paid for it, paid her to be able to have it, and I had the financing to do it. Now let's assume a broadcasting station, whether it's your NTV or maybe let's say your Mnet, wanted me to do a project. Yeah, so in essence they commissioned me. Now guess what? The rights is owned by Mnet and no longer with me. I hope that's clear so far in the room. Yes, yeah. So yes, we do have IP issues in terms of that. But now let me now get into little nitty-gritties. You will find that IP issues come up in the film industry because of contracts. Yeah. People don't read their contracts. Let's just be very honest. Even me, I can say there's moments where I've just signed very quickly without necessarily looking at, I trust Maneki, I just sign there.
So for instance, you pay Abigail, then Abigail comes back to it and says,
by the way,
this thing has become big, it is going to Netflix, yes. I want my cut.
Correct. And that time I had done a buyout with her, but now she says, by the way, I'm owed money from Netflix. I'll remember page 12. Yeah. Nobody did say, yeah.
Is that right, by the way? Is it right to sell it? Okay, you're right.
So far I'm so good, yes?
Yeah, very good.
At least to my understanding of what I do.
You can become a lawyer.
I'm after your job. But then you will find those, so mostly it's usually contractual issues, and it's always about, where someone is questioning about to what extent their rights are, yeah? Also financing, that's a big one, because you'll find maybe as you give the narrative of maybe she discovers that the film has made it big and nice, it's being shown globally, and she'll come and say, by the way, you paid me 50K, I think I'm now worth 5 million, as an example. It happens, and it always goes back to the document called a contract. So you'll find that either people didn't read contracts, or there were no contracts initially.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
gentleman's
also,
agreement.
Yeah, so there's, but we are pals, so we don't need to sign these things. We've agreed, so you come to work tomorrow, yeah? I want want to touch on something that my colleagues here, Maggie, has mentioned about where your fellow creators go and put their work on their social pages and what have you. In as much as I get where you're coming from, I mean, it has absolutely hit my head. I'm like, wow, okay, I can see why I can go and decide this design was by me or whatever. For me, as film, I would look at it in the same way we do credits. Yeah, where you have to, the same way you're saying, there's nowhere where you can actually prove that you did that work except the person who, if you go now talk the guy who initially got you assigned for that work in Garden City. But for us in film, when you watch the end of the films, you'll see credits and you will see, oh, so-and-so was the makeup artist, so-and-so was, So in the same context, if I choose, say I was a photographer and I choose to put my pictures in Instagram because I want to publicize my brand and so on, it is morally nice or right to put in the details of who was involved there. Yeah, I don't know if you guys read up that little case that was there. I happened to stumble upon it with Osborne, I think. Yeah, yes, and about there was some copyright issue somewhere, who did or did not do, and I saw anyway thereafter that now people have begun really crediting the people who helped them create the work. Yeah, which I think is morally right.
It's morally right. I agree with you. Yeah. And you've seen this this very dark guy with a golden beard and all that. That's Osborne's work, yeah?
Oh, yes.
Great, that's incredible.
Now, the animal you've thrown me last.
The one... Okay, go ahead.
Finish. It's okay.
I was going to say, credits, creation sometimes takes more than one person.
Yes.
Writing a book takes more than, well, mostly, I mean, I don't know, but your work, you need a welder. You need a tailor. You need a what? Who do you need when you're doing your work? Authors, you need authors, yeah. You need a musician. You need exactly. It takes a lot of people to come up with the final product. And I think it's important that they are all credited. It may not be, maybe you've paid them already, but I think there's a moral obligation to recognize them. And how many of you go to the theaters, movie theaters? How many of you? And then when the credits start rolling, what do?
Walk out.
Oh, yes. You walk out. Yes? You walk out. Guilty. Okay. This is, for us in the film industry, we sit down and watch all the credits. The very last one. Yeah. Because it is honoring the people who have given you that experience. So please, stay in, Sarah. You stay until the last credit. Cindy, can you imagine if they miss your name and you've worked so hard? Thank you. So please, that's something you've learned today. Stay until the last credit. Now, we had a question over there. You wanted that? We will come back to that story in the middle of that. It has been answered. Okay, good. So go ahead. No, it's been answered.
Ask anyway.
Oh. Can you copyright something that? AI. Hey, that's another very serious line you're getting into right now. In fact, there's a big argument about that, isn't there, right now? Okay, give her. She has understood. The question, guys, is about AI, which is artificial intelligence, and whether you can copyright something that somebody else has created artificially.
Mm-hmm. So wait, because at some point, I think Moniki changed the question. So you created the work with the AI, or you used already existing work and created something new with AI? You created yourself? Okay, yeah. So, two things that come into into mind first. The platform you're using for AI, please read the terms and conditions, all right? Yes, because already someone owns that platform. It's software, there's someone who owns some intellectual property rights on that platform. So you have to read the terms and conditions and see how they relate to now the work that you will create. To what point do your rights start or stop, and vice versa, right? So that, first of all, is the thing. So some platforms may be, available on Creative Commons license. Again, there are parameters around which the Creative Commons license, the owner would, tell you, look alike, use alike, share alike, commercial, non-commercial. Actually, it's that $ and X. It means when you use, you can't commercialize, but you can share attribution. You must, credit the person and things like that. So all those things first you have to read. So, but as long as when you use someone else's IP to create something, then at some point there's a convergence in rights. Yeah, there's a point to which your rights start and stop, and then the other person's rights also. So there's some sort of co-ownership to an extent. It will depend on the platform. So it's a very complex question to answer. But again, it's about if it's copyright, the expression of it, to what extent was it original, what you had created, can it operate by itself, or is it reliable on this platform? So you find that there is a very fluid conversation. And again, when you're talking about conversation, it's about also your business model, what are your plans, and all that. So you find it's a very complex pie to analyze. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hey, it's a complex thing, eh? Yes.
So I've just had that experience where somebody sent us a story that was generated through ChatGPT.
Oh, wow.
They sent, so they sent ChatGPT prompts, said this is the kind of story, and came up with actually quite a good story. And the thing we're trying to grapple with is some of the things that you're saying about looking up what are the terms of ChatGPT.
Yes.
But it is also, and this is me just thinking that, how did ChatGPT in the first place come up with that story? Like, what has been fed to it for it to generate that kind of story? And did it then acknowledge the rights of whoever it is who created that, right? So when so from the phraseology to some of the style of the story and all that, so I think it's a very weird moral ground that needs to be explored in greater details, because unfortunately technology these days is so far ahead of the ethical thinking that is required to underpin it.
Yeah. Ethical thinking, by the way, morality and ethics is under threat. Is under threat. Okay, now we did really hear you, so someone help us with the microphone. Oh my goodness, that is so interesting, isn't it?
Because there's a mind creation in there. The minute because it can't come out with something that you did not feed it. So it came from your mind somehow. And how I feel sometimes like it's better than humans. If you see like how mid-journey, you key in what you're thinking, and what they bring out is something, it helps your mind somehow. So, I don't know.
Yoniswali, that's a very interesting question. You want to say something about it?
Where is IP in there? Because it's a mind creation, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to have a say, yeah? Okay. So, June and Bonasige wanted to say something about that.
And it's happening so fast, and it's taking away so many jobs. So
even creatives are having a hard time, because ChatGPT can come up with a logo. It can come up with your...
Even Canva. And if Canva generates for you content, it's copyright free. You can decide it's yours now.
Okay.
But what AI is doing is that it's a collective database, if I can call it that, right? So he used the reference of pictures. It could be people's words, expressions, how they phrase. So they may have gone and quote unquote borrowed and added to the database from people who express themselves well. And then when you use or prompt using the tool, that is AI, it sort of says, okay, June kind of sounds like this. I'll pull from what Nyokavi had said, I'll pull from what Waniki had said, I'll pull from, and generate something for her. I think that the risk for me is the speed, because it is something that, you blink and the thing is there, an entire speech, you tell me, June, say a few words, and I'm like, tuk, 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 tuk. And ChatGPT is already on it, while I'm walking up on stage. So that speed, I think, is something that is maybe what has taken us aback. And I think that, you're referencing an artist in the US. I think Drake had somebody record a song using his voice. Now it's a collaboration. And he posted on his Instagram, he said, okay, this is the final straw, AI. Even him is like, what is this now? But here's the thing. I think every time there's been an advancement in technology, we've always reacted the same way as human beings. We've been like, but then, ooh, and then you sort of go through that emotional cycle. It's a friend, and then it's a foe, or it's a foe first, then it becomes a friend. And the more you understand it, the more you can say, okay, then fine, I may not be able to fight or change this, but how do I use it? How do I use it to generate income? How do I use it to monetize? How do I use it to protect? How do I use it to access a new audience? Because that is what the digital space has begun to do for us. So I think it's just, I hope there are people out there really trying to, understand and delve into this thing. It's really not my area of expertise. I'm not trying to become a techie, but I do want to know how to use this thing to make my time, which is my greatest resource, more efficient. Yeah, for me. Can I be in 4 forums at the same time while I'm physically here? Is that possible? I might be interested in that. Is there a cost to it? It's not that I mind, but I can understand. If you're now taking my voice and doing other things without calling me, we are going to have a problem. But I really believe, it was all first created by a human, a crazy one, but a human, who went and got different. Yeah. So I think there's worth, more discussion on it. But I agree. For now, if there's a platform, if there are terms and conditions, read them. Because at the end of the day, it's that contract. You can argue this philosophical discussion, but if you're engaging and using and trading with some of these things, read what the provisions say. My brother, you want free contracts? I have heard you. Look, I think the answer is yes and no, okay? Because every single relationship is unique. And so I would be very wary of a standard super template that says, every single artist can use this. What we've seen, however, is contracts that have opt-in options. So you can have option A, B, C, D, E, and then say, oh, for this scenario, B is closest, and I can now tailor it for what works for you. I think that's the closest thing to what you're asking for. But I would be very wary of a one-size-fits-all, because your situation is very unique. And just a FYI, all contracts, all of them start with what the meeting of the minds of the parties entering the contract agree. It's not the other way around. It's not, lawyer, give me contract, let me go and start discussing. It's the other way around. We should be drafting based on discussions and agreements between the parties. So I think still leverage the offers that are existing. I think Kenya Copyright Board still has an option for you to send in a contract or get some guidance or an opinion or even a simple draft. But we don't cost too much also. So just
and allow me to add something, yeah? I think creatives have this weakness where we view IP protection as a liability. Yeah, we're always like, oh, I'm spending money. But for you to buy a shamba, see, you spend money. Yeah, so it's the same way when I create my property, I have to figure out how I am protecting it, how am I asserting my rights. How do you do that? It means teamwork. I know it's cliche, but teamwork makes the dream work. When you come for this training, we're not trying to make you to be a lawyer, but I'm teaching you, or June and I are teaching you something enough for you to not be misguided. Yeah, because again, humans being humans, there will always be quacks, yeah? But if you come from a point of ignorance, of course you will be shafted. Excuse my French, yeah? So it's really important that, like I said earlier, we each have to respect each other's hustle. There's a reason why we went to law school. There's a reason why you studied art. There's a reason why you studied music. All these things. There's a reason why someone studied marketing. Someone studied business administration. Like, there's a reason for everything, right? So it's about what do I need in my business and how do I get the right people, and then how do we agree on how everyone benefits and makes money, right? And again, as June said, it's very dangerous. Those templates. I will give you an example. I had a client who came, and they were so excited they had this perfect template. Yeah, and it was one of those ones. Unfortunately, again, as lawyers, we've shared the narrative that if your contract is like 30 pages, you're protected. So they came with this heavy document. And as I am reading, I'm seeing even words we don't use in our jurisdiction, legal words. Hey, I'm like, dude, where did you get this contract? It says, I went on Google. It was a template on a site. Said, okay. Then at the end, it says, the laws of Georgia. I was like, dude, we are in Kenya. We're not in the state of Georgia. You know, so the person was, you should have seen the look on their face. It was so bad. And unfortunately, they were almost losing everything. And like we said, ignorance of the law is no defense. Yeah? Yeah. He had signed. Him is coming. He's like, I'm asserting my rights. He's comfortable. Yeah? So it's really important. And it's, like I said again, you know, there was a time, 2 years back, all lawyers used to have this thing on their WhatsApp, that mug for Google, do not confuse my law degree with Google. There was a time that was really happening a lot. Yeah, even I had to put it on my WhatsApp just to tell my friends, please, there's a reason I have been in school and I'm still in school. Because law is dynamic. The conversations we're having around AI right now, some of us are on the back end, we are like, okay, how many steps ahead can we walk in terms of the law? So that we make sure that we're not playing catch up. You know, what am I doing as a lawyer to make sure that my clients are protected as legislative developments are happening? Like, it's a whole, cycle. And then one thing I really want to emphasize is that intellectual property are personal rights. Creatives are always saying, oh, Gava is not doing anything. We have, despite the little flaws we have, like our Copyright Act, let me tell you, Kenyans are protected. Kenyans are protected. The problem is they're not finding the right people to help them. And then secondly, unfortunately, they're very laissez-faire and lazy about it, right? Because the way someone will steal your shamba, you're quick to call the cops. But it means you had put dogs, you had put a fence. So who are these dogs in relation to your IP? It's the lawyers, it's the business development manager, it's all these people, yeah? So that now you're able to self-police through your teamwork and say, hey, my song is on Spotify, I didn't license that song. What can I do? Or there's this platform that is doing mass copyright infringement. What can I do? Is there a criminal aspect? Go to KECOBO. I want to get paid. Find a lawyer. Take these guys to court. So I think we really need to start being proactive and understand also and embrace the legal system. A few months back, we had a client, and I tell people, by virtue of existing, you can, just by breathing, I can annoy you or make you happy. Right? And it's just how the laws of nature work, even the Constitution. So today, if I feel I don't like your hat and I decide to take you to court, I can. Yeah? Then you defend yourself, right? So and I remember I had a matter, and this business feels like they've done everything to protect themselves, and they're like, why are they taking us to court? Why should we go to court and not and defend ourselves? We are right. And I said, you know what? If you don't go, already you're in trouble. A judgment could be entered against you because you were never there, and then it will be enforced. For example, the way the legal system works is you have to show up and defend yourself. Everyone has a right to be heard. Everyone has a right to lay a claim under the law. So at the end of the day, if you're doing something right, just show up. Yeah. So I think it's really also good to understand each other's strengths in the ecosystem and then build on that. Really important.
Yes, please do. Kwa hivyo shamba yetu can employ a lot of people because teamwork makes the kabisa.
Yeah, I just wanted to encourage the artists because sometimes as artists who are doing commissions, especially when you've made art your business, when you're doing your budget, weka budget ya lawyer hapo. Because that is something that we overlook, and then when you start wondering, hey, sasa hii pesa itatoka wapi? So for me, I've made it deliberate that that should form a part of it, just like insurance also, because some of our artworks, you'll find that the commission has not put insurance. So something can happen to my studio and it burns down. So what? Yes. So when you're looking at the business of art, angalia mambo ya insurance, angalia mambo ya lawyer, so that when that guy gives me that contract, at least I know, hey, June anaweza nisaidia hapa, at least niko na budget. She can look at my contract, advise me, and then I send it back to the person who's contracted me.
Hapo umetusaidia sana. You see, when we talk about sharing knowledge and information, that is very important, including your other costs that affect your life. In fact, that insurance for the business, yes, but also insurance for your life, because you're the one who's working. You know, you understand? Nobody's going to do the craft work if you're not there in the workshop. So you must also protect yourself. Make sure that you've got medical insurance. You know, thank you for those other costs that need padded. But the director, we make sure that happens. My dear, you want to say something?
Oh no, I was just going to add on to a few points that have been mentioned here. I pick up on what has been mentioned, which is that, you know, respect everyone's hustle. Yeah, I'll give an example. If I cast you in my movie, and I'm the casting agent, and then maybe
you'll have cast very well.
I see you. Not even a movie. Actually, let me use a TV commercial, because that's where I think I tend to see a lot of issues that go on there as far as IP is concerned and so on. So say I'm a casting agent. I come and I cast you to be in her TV commercial. So she's the producer and so on. And then the client, for example, is June. So then, you know, she gives it to June, and then June airs it on the TV broadcasting stations. And mark you, the contract you signed with us, because she's a producer, I'm the casting agent, and you're the talent, said that this TV commercial should only air for 2 years, right? So June has given it to the broadcaster down the road there, and, you know, it's aired. 2 years down the road, or another 3 years down the road, you're still seeing the advert running. And you're wondering what's going on, right? So if respecting everyone's hustle is, should come back to me as a person who casts, because I'm the one who has a relationship with the producer. Not you going around to the broadcaster there and asking them, "Kwanini bado muna air my TV commercial?" Because the broadcaster has no idea about what contracts you had. Yeah. So I agree. Respect the hustle. Respect actually the value chain of the nature of the business, the protocol that's involved. Don't go start seeing the client. For example, let me use even fashion. Don't go start seeing the client ahead there. You don't know what contract she had with the client, if that makes sense. So yes, respect.
Do I have rights if you're showing the advert 3 years down the road?
So because I brought up that, yes,
depends. Contract.
Yes, it goes back.
If I signed for 2 years.
Yes. So now let's use that as an example. So yes, if you had signed a contract with whichever production company for 2 years, and the TV commercial or billboard, depending on what form of advertisement that was, airs beyond the 2 years, you are entitled, depending on what was written in the contract. If it was just that anyway, it's perpetuity, it's a buyout, I'm sorry, there's no money thereafter. But normally, actually majority of the time, is that you will come back and you're paid a certain percentage of the money of that, for the extra 2 or 3 years that they'll air it.
So when you're signing a contract, please get a lawyer. Is that what you're saying? Or no, look, read it. Read the contract, because the contract will tell you, this is only for 2 years, and you think to yourself, okay, 2 years time, I'll still be paying school fees. So maybe if they go 3 years, I'll still need money. So ask them, what about 3 years? Get what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. Now, you guys are looking like you're tired. Are you guys tired? Oh, you had a question. On your Kavi. But I'm giving ourselves until 12:30? 1? Yeah. I need to end now. Okay, so. Okay. Last questions. We're taking, this is what they call midnight, Yeah, midnight hour, 11th hour. Okay, the 3 questions. Please ask quickly.
Right. So my question is in regard to trademarking. One, does it mean that if you're like a public figure, and is that a thing? You want to trademark your name, like Nyokafi Macharia, is that what it means? And also, do you want to sign a contract, for example, the logo issue? So if I ask someone to create a logo for me, do I want to have a contract for them to sign, or what's that? Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I'm really happy to join this IP forum, and congratulations to Kenyan people, because you are really making IP grow. So you artists, you have the opportunity to have smart women and smart men. So you have now to get your copyright right, as she said. So I have just 2 questions. The first one is, what are the penalties for infringement, and are they coercive? Are they coercive? And the second one is, does your law take into account the digital environment?
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
So you said, are they what? Are they corrosive? Corrective?
That means coercive.
Cohesive. Oh, cohesive. Okay, cohesive. Thank you. Yes. All right. No problem. No, we understand. Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, or is it good afternoon? Hi, John. So nice to see you again. So my
You
name
have to tell us your name. Okay, thank you.
Okay. My name is Amata Cynthia. I'm a media and entertainment lawyer. Yes. I'd start by before I ask my question, I'll start by saying, based on the questions that she said, I don't know about the Kenyan context, but I work with clients from India and Canada, and when it comes to an advert that keeps running, there's something we call image rights. Whether like it's in the contract or not, image rights dictate the number or the duration of period where your image can be broadcast, can be advertised anywhere, whether as a picture or motion picture. Then for the creatives here, I'd like to tell you guys that whenever you're given a contract, you have to know, this is something that you have to know. The person giving you the contract wants to eat you up. So if you don't take that contract and then take it to a lawyer, that's a raw deal, a very, very raw deal. Yeah, the person who's giving you the contract, their main agenda is for you to be eaten up and for you to lose the most money as possible. So on to my question. I have a question to Liz Lenjo because I know about her background in fashion law. I'm just wondering, or I normally wonder, but today I sent you a message on LinkedIn because I've tried to pick your mind on No, Liz, I've looked for Liz for one whole year.
You have her now, so please just ask the question.
So Liz, my question is, why we have the Kenya Copyright, we have the Copyright Act, right? And we have the Industrial Property Right. Why is fashion being dealt with in the Copyright Act more than the Industrial Property Act? And when I look at fashion, like the product and everything, it fits under industrial art. And to also continue that question, I think I have a problem with the artistic work in Section 2 of definitions when it comes to the Copyright Act, because I don't understand why artistic work is placed there, and I feel like it also fits in the Industrial Property Act. I understand aspects of fashion that are covered by the Copyright Act, such as the sketch and everything, but in the Kenyan context, the whole of it, including even the byproduct, is covered under Copyright Act. So I need that justification. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, tough questions, Ed. You need exam, eh? All right. So we had 3 questions. I've been told that we take a health break, and I'm seeing energy levels. People are feeling. So let's do this. Can we do 5 minutes? Yeah, 5 minutes break. And when I know what happens when I say 5 minutes break, you guys will be back in 10 minutes. But yes, let's do 5 minutes. Go stretch your legs, visit the gents. Jackie was asking about our laws and whether they are cohesive, and the penalties. Yes, whether we have enough penalties. Okay, and then Cynthia asked very hard questions directly to Liz. In fact, some are almost personal. Yeah, mtaonana baadaye. All right, so pretty much lawyers doing this stuff. Oh, sorry, microphone.
Okay, Liz, would you want to start, and then I can?
Okay. So I think I'll leave the trademark ones to you. Okay. So the question on issue of penalties, what our act provides for, and are they enough? In terms of monetary penalties, we are looking at about 400,000 Kenya shillings to 800,000 Kenya shillings in USD, about $4,000 to about $8,000, $9,000. So you can see the grand scheme of things. It's barely scratching the surface. It's a multi-million dollar industry. So, and then that money just goes back to the government, into the system, for criminal sanctions. Yeah. In terms of prison possibilities, because it's usually either and or, depending on how the judge is feeling about you. We're talking about 6 to 10 years. I think it could be more as well. Because when you look at copyright infringement as well, it's attached to even far larger crimes, from abduction to impersonation, like so many weird things that some of these cartels are doing. So I think we could do better. We could definitely do better, because now 800K Kenya shillings is pocket change for most people, yeah? So they will pay it and they'll go back to their two little studios and do their thing and do what they're doing to Kinamudhoni with their books, yeah? So if you're going to infringe on a value of like 10 million Kenya shillings, your penalty should be almost times 4 or 5. And you pay and make sure something goes to to Mudhoni from that, and then we still go to court for the civil issue and do something so that that person learns and becomes a poster child for such. In terms of digital provisions and enhancements, I think we've done a pretty good job, and we applaud KECOBO for being at the forefront for that. So we have provisions on circumvention and digital rights management information. We even have provisions on Skiza tunes in terms of royalties, at least as a bare minimum provided for. So digitally, I think we are good, and some of them also inferred in the general provisions. So I think right now it's almost impossible to say you can't prosecute a digital infringement case in Kenya.
Both audiovisual and
yes.
sound. Okay.
Yeah. Because it's just finding also the right counsel and the right team, and then pray for a good judge. But the tribunal is here now, so hallelujah. Yeah.
Why go to the judge when you can get a tribunal? Tribunal. Yeah. Now you're the chair. So you have, who do you have, are the mediators, or who do you have in the tribunal?
We are akin to a court. Okay. So we're the same as a court. We're the court of first instance. So our brochures are on the tables. So good. Please have a look. Our jurisdiction is outlined there. The fees that we charge, we have adopted the general court fees as per the CJ, so we are affordable in terms of court fees. And you can also represent yourself in the tribunal. You need not come with a lawyer. Just come with your facts, come with your evidence, and as long as you know the law, let that speak for you. So we are like a panel of judges, and a majority would constitute 3. In the event that someone has like a conflict of interest, say it's a contract that I drafted, then I have to recuse myself, there'd still be a panel to sit. So as a chair, I'm not like the alpha and omega. People will still access justice. Okay. Yeah. But we are available. As long as we are called upon, we will sit and do, proceed to dispense justice. We are online, so we are accessible online. But that's not to say that, a copyright holder who is, in Wajir, for example, they cannot access us. They just need to simply write a letter to the judiciary through the Office of the Registrar of Tribunals, make a case, and we'll find ourselves there, because that is our job. We'll go. Okay. If they don't have access to the internet, we will go. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then the other set of questions, question in terms of industrial property versus copyright in fashion. So on the face of things, because fashion itself can be construed to be an artistic works as well, you'll find that most fashion designers will go for copyright as a default because it's affordable. Yeah, it's easy, it's quick. However, if you're scaling up and you're manufacturing and you want to trade and you have this business plan, industrial designs would be your better goal. Again, industrial designs also look at the whole design, right? So even when you're protecting it, it's like a 3D protection. Yeah, and then it's all about the lines and the shapes and the colors that you use, how creative and whatnot. So it has a more robust protection, and in some instances, depending on your strategy, it could even move to a 3D trademark, depending, the likes of Toblerone or the shape of that chocolate, it's a trademark. Yeah. So it always depends on the strategy that the designer has, and also how much money has they allocated to their legal strategy. Yeah. So so that's why I think, like we said, when you're starting this business, when you're creating your IP, have the preliminary information beforehand, so that also you don't end up dying of a heart attack or stroke because you lost a lot of money, and it's because you just didn't do your homework. Yeah. So.
But in the case of Muzoni, she did her homework. She was ready, but someone stole it. So, even if you do your homework, it doesn't stop somebody from stealing.
True. So if you don't do your homework, if you do your homework, you already also know if in the event that A happens, I have strategy X. In the event B happens, I have this strategy, sort of thing. Because that's the power of information. You will never be caught flat-footed.
I want to give another example. Maggie does art pieces that are individual. If she decides to form a mold of one of her pieces and start mass producing that, maybe using an ore or something. Now, does she move from being under the arts and going into industrial because now she's going to be doing mass production?
Yes, because her strategy there has changed. So ideally, that's what we would do. And then even the contracts that she has, let's just say there will be more stronger clauses. Like there are some clauses, there's some clauses she probably doesn't imagine giving, like a welder and non-circumvent clause in her contract, which means that you cannot, go behind my back and work with someone, right? Like that's now something that will become important because this person who has access to your molds could then easily take and go and slice you in the business. Reduce prices, and the next thing Maggie gets an email, "Dear Maggie, we hereby terminate your services." Yeah. So you'll find that there's a lot that goes behind the scenes for a legal mind. It's a lot. We are literally summarizing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. We'll give a round of applause, man. That is mind-blowing. You are dealing with that?
I'm going to start with the trademark question. And I also just want to say it's similar to what we call a layered approach. Okay, I think in Kenya we are great fans of layering. You take advantage of everything that is available to you. So I think even if it's in fashion, it starts off with a copyright. You can layer on trademark. You can layer on some design element. And I don't think there's anything that says you are limited to only one type of protection. Yeah. So I think if we open up our minds to look at it like that, even as you progress from I'm just doing this for creative purposes to I'm now doing it for trade, you layer as you go along. Yeah. And I'll just use a song as an example because it's really super easy. You start with sometimes lyrics on a piece of paper. Protect that. It's a literary work. It's not yet a song. It's not yet recorded. It's not yet performed. Then you walk into a studio, or maybe somebody else comes with a musical composition with notes. That's another layer, right? And then, of course, you finally walk into a studio, perform it, record it. That's an audio, sound recording. So even that process is layered. The creative process is not a one step process. Yeah. Okay. So trademarks. Excuse me. So trademarks are a gold mine in my opinion, and they are really something that we need to start to embrace more, because we are in and of ourselves as creatives, we are brands, and brands not just we've gotten used to big brands that are well known out there coming to tell us about their product, and if you even hear how we speak about those brands, they've done their work very well. If I am sending money to you and I'm on Airtel, what do I still say? I will M-Pesa you. Does Airtel have M-Pesa? No. Right? So what has that brand managed to do? Make the transfer of mobile money equal to their brand name. Right? When we put hot beverages in a what? What did she say? In a thermos. Is thermos the thing we call the thing? It is a flask. Thermos is the name of a brand. But it is so ingrained in your mind that thermos now becomes equal to flask, receptacle for hot beverages equals thermos. It's a brand, okay? So Velcro, same thing. I mean, there's so many of them we could go through. Yeah, your cleaning house manager says, "Nunua hiyo omo ya pasil," and you're like, "What? Omo is powder soap. It doesn't matter what you call it. It is pasil, but it is omo." Okay? So if you start to think about the thing that you're offering, the good or the product or the service that you're offering to the market in the same way, then the decision to trademark how you do your business is the first question. So in your case, we know you as Nyokafi Macharia, right? And I'm segueing into, I'm answering your question about your personal name. If you had pseudonym or a stage name that we know you as, then that might be the thing you would want to protect. AKA David Madenge is also known as Nameless. But he doesn't trade in the music space as David Madenge, so the thing he might want to consider registering is Nameless. So it's the way you are identified and your market associates with you in your trade. That's the thing. That's the first thing for trademark, right? Secondly, if your name is how you do your business and how you offer your service, it is then the ideal thing for you to register. Is it in the form of a logo? Have you done a representation of your name, or is it just the letters that form Nyokavi and Macharia, or is it in a form of a logo like Style by Naomi, right? Those are some of the things, because you can register a name, you can register a shape, you can register a color, you can register a signature tune, you can register so many things, right? So do you qualify by putting either a logo or just a name, which you can register a word mark as a trademark, okay? Then there are what we call classifications. Within the trademark space, we have 45 classifications. The first 34 are in products or goods, and then the last 10 are in services. So you would then have to go through and say, what is it that I am offering in the business or the service that I'm in? And you select the classification that is most relevant to the work that you will be doing and the services you'll be offering. Trademark registration, if you are successful, you get it for 10 years. So I always say, think about what you might be doing even in year 8. Put that classification on that list when you're applying, whether or not you're doing it today. Why? Because you can always add classes later, which is a great thing. But if June comes in and says now her daughter has been born and she's a cute baby, because of course she will be, and now she's on billboards and I want to register something for her, the one might be Mr. Macharia and the child is Nyokafi, right? So if I come in year 6 with this my beautiful baby and say, she's such a brand already, let me register, and you had not yet put that particular class, and then you come in year 7 and say, I think I'm ready now to branch into this kind of business, you will find my registration. And the reason we may have our registrations in the same database is because we did not select the same classes. So the registrar could decide these two marks could coexist if there is no likelihood of confusion. That is the test for trademark infringement. Is there likelihood that your market and my market will look at this thing and go, so is this the Nyokavi of Chaguo? Is that her, or is this June's Nyokavi, right? If the brain of our audience, of our market goes there, then you could say that the likelihood of confusion has been activated, and then we now have to decide whether there was actual confusion. But that's something that okay? So in a roundabout way, the answer is yes, you can, but you would have to be clear about what the service or the product or the goods are that you are providing, okay? And it's not just, I think your second part of your question was, is it I just go and write? No, there's actually a process. It takes, according to the KEPI website, 6 months. It could be a bit longer. But, yeah, in the website, this is 6 months. But it could be up to a year, okay? And the other thing you need to be aware of is that there could be other people out there who are trading with that name already, but didn't come to the KEPI registry. Because registration of your trademark is not mandatory. It is highly recommended, but it is not mandatory. So you could find Madame in Kisumu saying, Allah, who is this person who has decided to dare? And because there is a 60-day requirement to be in a journal, you have to notify the public in the KEPI journal that you intend to own this trademark exclusively and trade with it for 60 days, for 10 years, then the public has the right to come and say, actually, no, I want to file a notice of opposition because I've been doing business in Kisumu under this name for the last 10 years. I didn't come here, yeah, fine, but if you ask people there, they know me. So you are going to create confusion. And they can actually frustrate your process because it will stop until the registrar hears both of your sides of the story. Yeah. So a few things to think about, but unlike what this bad lawyer told Naomi, the sooner you start, the better. Okay? There's a wonderful story, if you just give me a minute to just hear it. 1 minute. I forget the gentleman's name. He's a Kamba brother, had an accident, and then was recuperating. And the thing that helped him get better was Kililimbi music. Right? You know, the ding, 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 ding. Wonderful traditional Kamba music that got him very inspired. He then talks to a friend and says, this thing is what has gotten me out of this hospital bed. The guy says, yeah, when I get out, we'll do a Kililimbi night or something. We must celebrate. Then the guy told him, that's such a great idea. Ebu, register this thing. Like a joke. He goes, he registers it, and he just keeps it. There's nothing he was doing with it. Fast forward, he decides, I'm now ready. I said I would do this thing. If God healed me, he has healed me, I'm doing it. Partners with Establishment X, and they have a Kililimbi night. The thing was super successful. Kamba food, Kamba culture, Kamba fashion, Kamba music, Kamba everything. It was beautiful. Establishment goes, so we can do this again. We don't need this guy. See, you just wanted to say thanks to God. Thanks, bye. We are continuing with this product. Then his friend reminds him, you had that paper from those guys in. And he actually was able to stop them from continuing because he had registered. So my point is, that story was, I just think it's like so randomly beautiful because you never know. That is the truth with life. You never know. And that establishment changed Kililimbi night to Kamba night. Right? They continued with the concept, but the name, he owned it. They couldn't use it, especially if they were trying to get him out of the transaction and the equation. Okay? Let me segue quickly to image rights. I agree. I think we don't have specific written laws. There's no act for image rights. Okay? People will reference the Constitution, which protects property, and your image is your property. But I think it's back to what I was saying about layering. Okay? So contracts are the first layer. You would have to have a contract provision in there that says, I have given permission for my rights, my image, my likeness, my name, all those things to be used. And that's typically what you will see in what we call a model release form for TV commercials, for any odd thing. We thankfully have some case law now that has given some people some really decent judgments of 1 million, 1.5 million shillings because you took my picture, you used it for commercial purposes, and you didn't ask me. Right? And even though there was nothing in writing, they were able to go to court, and thankfully our judges now start to see the reasoning behind something as fickle as our image. Okay, I think there's going to be a very interesting discussion now with the Data Protection Act, because that arguably is another layer of personal information. So I think you're right in the sense that Kenyan law does not specifically say image rights are protected in this act, section whatever, but I think it is an implied right that is recognized, and we have jurisprudence and case law to prove that. But I think that the issue is ultimately what a contract will provide, and there's no question about whether you have that right or not. I think we've gotten past that. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, sure.
Thank you very much. Give her a round of applause. Jurisprudence and those kind of prudences. Let me say something.
Yes, let me add something.
I'm being forced.
Because it's really important.
Okay.
It's really important. And this is because we love to brand things, our products, with our names. It's dangerous.
Why?
Very dangerous.
Why? Colgate is still selling
because,
today.
You see now, like, I do Liz Lenjo. From my family, there's already like 6 Liz Lenjos.
Oh.
Yes. And what is going to happen at KEPI is also cognizant that, we also operate on a community level in terms of what is common to us, the names, the word. So I'm sure there's no one June Gashui or one June Musoni. But in terms of name, like you would know in your space. Yeah, even in your tribe, you will know. There are names you know that are common, and, So because of that, already there the likelihood of confusion is already almost strong. And even for your product to stand out, even if Hash is, maybe in entertainment and I'm selling perfumes, her brand is likely to overshadow me, right? Because she's this fabulous singer. How am I going to compete with that? Yeah. So because of that, we tell guys, really think through that, one. And two, because also, are you going to scale up your business? There will be investors involved. They will want a slice of the IP. You have now become the product. Yeah. Look at what happened to Jimmy Choo, Kate Spade. So much so that when you sell
What happened to them?
See, they were the brand. Kate Spade is the brand. Jimmy Choo is the brand. The minute they sold the company, they sold their name because they were a trademark. So much so that now if Jimmy Choo created another shoe, he can't even say shoe by Jimmy because Jimmy Choo, he sold it. It's someone else's product. So you want to think through that. You want to think when you're creating these brands, think in the context of the market that you're in. So I always say, when people are doing creating a brand, they never remember about the lawyers. They only come to us. Then we're like, hey, this mark can't be registered. You've done your banners.
Too late.
You have done your labels for your clothes. You've registered. You've done all these things. And then you come to us and we're like, boss, imagine you can't be protected. Can you imagine the damage? So I think it's really important that they have, as you have your marketing person, your branding person, please also have a lawyer during the process so that then you're able to have a strong brand from the beginning, so that you don't have to end up rebranding somewhere in the middle, because all that goodwill is likely to melt. Your consumers will never remember.
And goodwill is important.
Yeah, goodwill is everything, especially in trademark and
currency,
branding. Yeah, so I thought that is really important.
Thank you very much. All right, so I'm about to get killed by the boss, as you can see. Yes, sir. What do you want to do? You want to shoot me? Are you allowed to carry a firearm? I'm just finishing. I'm just finishing. So what I'd like to do, guys, starting from Waithera, is just give us 2 sentences, your closing remarks. Your parting shot.
Can I do more than 2? Just to share a bit of my experiences.
Okay, yes. What we're doing is and don't forget this is World IP Day.
Okay.
And we're celebrating the can-do spirit and attitude of these great women over here.
Okay. Specifically then, I'd like to talk to the musicians.
Thank you.
As a musician, I think we need to understand the rights that we have so that we can be able to protect them. If this is something I had known years back when I started my journey, I could have avoided so many things. For example, one of the many challenges we have in the music business and any business really is having the initial capital to invest in your work. So when I got into music, I really didn't have that kind of money. So I'd get into agreements with producers that they'd produce the song for free and I wouldn't pay for it. And then I ended up assigning all my rights away. So there's that. And also, there's some music I own, some that I paid for myself, but see, I didn't have the understanding that even as a performer, as someone who sang on the song, as someone who has written lyrics, that I do have some rights, whether or not I paid for the song. So it's accounted for in master rights and other publishing rights. So I think as musicians, please kindly take note of that. And also for collaborations. There are so many collaborations I've done where I've gotten maybe a moral credit, a moral right, nimetajwa kwa wimbo, but we didn't have any agreement, because in music there's supposed to be a split sheet agreement to show the contribution of everyone in that piece of work. That's another thing, collaborations. Please take note on that. And as well, I had a situation where I had a Nigerian film company approached me to use a song of mine for a production. I think this was in 2016. Now, in my not knowing, I think I ended up sending them the song just to listen to it. I didn't authorize the use of the song, and it ended up being used on film on YouTube, a series actually on YouTube that ended up being on Netflix. So again, that was another way I lost out. So if I had known earlier, between that period, 2014 to 2017, if I had done my due diligence, if I had researched, I wouldn't be in that position. So I would say to musicians, let's empower ourselves. Empower yourselves and invest in yourself through information. Do the due diligence, reach out to legal counsel, and protect your rights. Yeah.
Had you known.
Had I known.
Please give a big round of applause to Waidera. Thank you.
It's World IP Day, so I want to celebrate two women. One is Magic Water founder, inventor, and I hope she really registered the trademark, copyright, and patent. Her name is Beth Koigi. There's and these stories are important because they inspire us, yeah. And then the Zambi Mate, who is the founder of a startup that recycles plastic waste into bricks that are stronger than concrete.
Wow.
And I hope they're the ones that are being used to pave Nairobi streets, because I'm very excited about that. Super. And I want to challenge women, please register your ideas, your inventions. I understand KECOBO have an online portal too, especially very useful for literary works, because you can just post it there and do it online. That's all that I want to say.
Malani, thank you. Liz.
So I think my parting shot is have a team. Be jealous in how you choose your team. Don't just choose because of. They should have expertise. Do your homework. It's like a marriage. So pick your quote-unquote business spouse carefully. Then protect your IP and police it. Nobody else will do it for you. Nobody else will understand the sweat, the tears, the lack of sleep. Nobody else will understand. So fearlessly protect. Sue if you must. Yeah? So and
that's a lawyer asking for work.
And lastly, for all of you who are here, as you are drafting your contract, you read that dispute resolution clause. Please proceed and submit to the Copyright Tribunal for your copyright disputes, because you will have expedient access to justice.
Hallelujah. So says the chairman or chairperson.
Okay, on a light note, Waidera, we are going to Nigeria tomorrow after we finish with Garden City. But anyway. First of all, I just really want to say thank you for the opportunity to be, on this really esteemed panel. I feel very privileged, and I think one of the things about this year's theme that gives me joy is that you can only accelerate something that is already moving. And that means our innovation space and our creativity space is moving. And so what we're trying to do is amplify, what we're trying to do is move faster without getting into many speed bumps. So I think I really want to appreciate the way the phrasing of this particular theme was done. I think my parting shot is also just to ask you to continue to invest in yourselves, continue to learn, continue to engage, and continue to ask questions. There is never any stupid question. That's one of the things one of my lecturers told me, and he said, I'd much rather you ask it 4 times than after the exam say, I didn't know because I didn't ask. So if in whatever space you find yourself in, even the young lawyers, the pupils, the interns at the end, just keep asking questions and we will do our best to answer them, because sometimes we learn from you. Finally, I think it's just to remind us that things are developing every day. And somebody reminded me the client lost a case. And when we went back to look at the documentation, we realized there was a window for the client to be the one to tell the lawyer what the scenario is. Why? That lawyer was not in the business that the client was in. So you have so much authority, so much power already, and so much knowledge. The lawyer is your advocate. It's just your mouthpiece, but you must feed them, like ChatGPT and AI. You must feed us with correct, accurate information so we can do our best to represent you out there. Okay? And thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, June. Maggie.
I think for me, on behalf of the visual artists, I'd just like to encourage KECOBO to collaborate with the art collectives, because sometimes when you ask artists to go for a workshop, maybe to your office, we love our safe places. So maybe collaborate with the Kuona Trust, the Go Downs, Mukuru Kwanjenga, the Masai Mbili in Kibera. Just go there and talk to artists about IP, because so many of us, we don't know. For me, I have been deliberate because of the work that I do with corporates, government, and individuals. But for many artists, wanapendanga tu kufanya kazi kivyao. So just reach out to them. They might not reach out to you, but just reach out to them.
Thank you, Maggie. Round of applause. Thank you.
All right, so my parting shot would be, if you have a chance to start it right, please do it. Start it right. It will save you a lot of expensive mistakes. So please, if you can, just do it. Also, I've learned so much today. I've gotten so much knowledge around IP, and I'm so grateful. And I'm just urging everyone here, be ambassadors of great information and great knowledge. You know, you don't know who you might be helping when you share the right knowledge with them. So let's be ambassadors of the right knowledge. If there are forums like this, also invite, friends who, in these sectors that you think this information will definitely be helpful to them. So I think that's a good start and a good beginning for, spreading the word and just making sure everyone is doing everything right. So thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and you're all amazing.
Yeah, round of applause for Naomi. Thank you. One boy.
Yes, thank you. I'll be very brief. Thank you, KECOBO and GIZ, for putting this together. I think it's been very informative. It's lovely to be on stage with this phenomenal women. And yeah, I think they said quite a lot. I don't need to add to that. Yeah, thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, please let us give a round of applause to these wonderful, wonderful women. Keep clapping. Yeah, I'm loving you guys standing up and giving them a round of applause. Standing ovation. Very well done. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for being vulnerable and for being a part of this great, great, great panel. I feel very, very humbled and very honored. Yeah, pose for the photo. And then when you're done, you can ask me to come in and join you. Wait, one more. Wait, one more. Wait. Thank you. All right. Thank you, ladies. Please, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, let's just appreciate them as they come and sit down. Give them a round of applause. Thank you, ladies. And we shall buy your products. We shall, Yeah, go with your maize. Those who have what? That's a true person from Central Province. Metugo. They call Metugo. Mahindi. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do not want to take long. I just want to say, remember, this is World IP Day, and we're celebrating it in style with some really stylish women and people who are making a difference in their different parts of the creative industry. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege and a pleasure to introduce the Deputy Director for Training and Research. Am I right? Oh my God, am I right? Oh my God, before I get into... Yes. Deputy Director Training and Research at KECOBO, Madam Sharon Ma. You said what? What? Okay, Sharon Wada. Oh, Shahale.
Yeah, at least I can use Chahale. It's not very common. Liza alisema wale wa common names mushunge sana. But I can use Chahale, you can call it Chahil. Yeah, you've been great. The conversation has been awesome. Beautiful, wonderful women. Thank you for heeding to the call. This project, basically, we have been working with GIZ, Linda and Sarah. You can stand so that they clap for you. They're great. And the idea, Naomi said, if you have a chance to start well, start and gather information. That is the idea. That we want to package this information and bring it to you. And we are doing it the easy way. Digital, yeah? We are no longer doing printing, shika wakili, shika. No, we are doing it the digital way. So look out. Very soon there are videos going to be out on our website, on GIZ's website and our sister organizations. And we are just packaging this information you are hearing here. Imagine getting this any day you want and every day by a click of a button, yeah? So that is the idea of this project. GIZ was gracious to come in to just package this information, give it to the rights holders, and then hold these forums Today has been a beautiful, beautiful day. We are going to have another and another. I think we have 3 more forums to go. Just allow me to recognize Mr. Githinji. He's from the office of the PS. We are now under the Ministry of Sports, Youth Affairs and Arts, something like that. I don't know if it's in that order. Mr. Githinji, probably just say your name, say hi. We are grateful for the partnership. Huyu ni kama mama yetu, unajua? So yeah, baba yetu, okay. Because today we are celebrating women, let us say mama yetu. Yeah, Mr. Githinji has graciously agreed to come and be part of this. Maybe you can just say your name and a bit of what you have seen today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Githinji Michael. I work in the State Department for Youth and the Arts. KECOBO is one of our child. Today I feel very privileged to be among the innovators and creators. It has been an eye-opener. We have a lot to do because the IP, if we don't protect the innovation and creativity, we'll be killing innovation and creativity. So this is the way to go. We need to do much. For the council, you've seen, you have a lot to do. You are sharing with a friend we've met today, and we are saying many a times we feel the services of a lawyer is just by the way. If I want to use this hotel, I'll be willing to pay. But I want the service of a lawyer, I'll call that buddy and ask what I can do. So there's a lot we need to do. For the council, there's a lot we need to do so that we can be able to protect our creativity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Githinji. Let me just also recognize our sister organization, ACA, Anti-Counterfeit Authority. Thank you for coming. Mr. Kipkemoi. Yes, Mr. Kipkemoi is here. Also, Kenik is here. Another of our sister organizations. Thank you so much for being here. We want to screen very short videos here. One is a message from our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Ababu Namwamba. Another would be a message from KECOBO. And then one of the videos that we are producing, the information that we are packaging, just a sample around the IP. As we screen that, Mr. George Nyakweba, our Deputy Director in charge of Legal, will come and close for us with a word of prayer and also move a vote of thanks.
As we celebrate the 2023 World Intellectual Property Day, is a good opportunity, a good occasion to reflect on the place of the creative industry and its contribution to the economy. We live in the digital era, digital world today, where the creative economy is now an integral part of the mainstream economic affairs of any country. But for this to happen, we must take note and acknowledge a number of things. Number one, in this digital era, intellectual property is a currency. Is as much a currency as hard cash or that card in your wallet. And therefore, like any currency, it must be protected. It's important that we protect intellectual property, we protect copyright, we protect trademarking, and just make sure that that space is secure. Number two, information becomes critical. We have to make sure that our creatives have access to the right kind of information and that this information is disseminated widely and it's the right kind of information. In Kenya, we have every intention as government to bring the creative economy to the center of our economic conversation and economic activities. Talanta hela are two Swahili words. Talanta meaning talent, hela meaning money. And the long and short of it is simply using talents to put money in the pockets of the creatives. Pesa mfukoni, as we say, money in your pocket. And this is about monetizing talents across the whole spectrum of sports, and the creative sector. To do this, we are rolling out a number of initiatives. We want to make sure that the legislative and policy framework is supportive of this arrangement. And so you will be seeing a lot of changes, proposals, adjustments to the law and to the policy framework to support this, working together with stakeholders across the board, including Parliament. And so we are dedicated, we are committed to ensuring that we have the right kind of information and that this information is put to action. And that is why, as government, we have made the deliberate, intentional, strategic policy decision to put in place a framework where our creative industry can roll to the next level.
Next is a message from KECOBO.
On the 26th of April 2023, my office and GIZ, working together with the Ministry of Sports, Youth Affairs and the Art, will be marking the World Intellectual Property Day. This year, the theme of the World Intellectual Property Day is Women and Intellectual Property, Accelerating Innovation and Creativity. It's a very welcome intervention and support. And it meets one of our requirements to reach out to our artists and rights holders. We found that our rights holders do not get the right information when they need it, in the manner they need it, in the platforms, from the platforms they visit. Therefore, the project is designed to meet the needs of young computer savvy, social media savvy rights holder who needs to get their information correctly, quickly, and without very high cost. And this program, therefore, is intended to create a number of short videos, informative videos and animations for the purposes of reaching out to these people when they need it and in the shortest way possible. The Ministry of Sports, Youth and the Arts has committed itself to train artists on matters of intellectual property. In that regard, my office will be spearheading an 18-county training program for that purpose. These councils and the committees that the minister has set up are intended to offer long-term, far-reaching changes to resolve some of the matters that have been seen in the sector for so many years.
So our last
So you have come up with your intellectual property and registered it. But where is the money? If your written work is in its final form, for example, a book that can be read, a movie that can be watched, art that can be exhibited, or music that can be listened to, your copyright gives you the right to allow someone to, 1, distribute your work, for example, distributing your computer software to multiple organizations. 2, perform it in public, for example, having someone play a song you wrote. 3, display your copyright work, like having your painting hung in the art gallery. 4, adapt your work, For instance, like turning a stage play, dramatic work, into a movie. And finally, sell copies of your work. You might pursue distribution of your work through digital platforms, such as Spotify and Boomplay for music, Viewsasa, YouTube, Showmax, or Netflix for video content, Amazon and other digital libraries for books and written work. You give the companies permission to distribute your work by getting them to sign a digital distribution license. You are entitled to fees and royalties from each sale or download of your work. This is, however, dependent on the agreement you sign, so make sure you carefully read the terms and conditions before giving permission for your work to be distributed. Always have a lawyer read through your contract so that you don't sign away rights that you didn't intend to. You can also approach the Kenya Copyright Board for advice from the legal officers. Once you sign an agreement, they become digital distribution rights holders and cannot be taken to court for copyright misuse unless they violate the terms of your agreement during the period of time you have given them your rights. You also have to honor certain rights before executing yours. If your IP was created as a result of people you have hired working on it, for example, hiring a band to create a music, make sure you sign an agreement we call work for hire. This is so that any work and copyright you have paid for is legally owned by you. When dealing with audio and video works, there are another set of rights involved known as image rights. This is where a person gives you permission for their voice or image to be used. An actor will need to give you permission to use their face and voice in a movie or an advert. You must obtain permission to use their image or voice by getting them to sign a model release form. The same way you own your own IP, they own rights to their image, and you can get in trouble for not honoring that right. There are also location agreements which confirm that you have permission to create your content on a specific premise. This is like getting permission to shoot your music video on the KICC rooftop. Make sure you have signed contracts with the owner or managers of the property to avoid legal issues further down the line. When someone attempts to upload or reproduce your work on a digital or illegal streaming site without permission, you have the legal right to demand the removal of the content from the platform. All in all, you have the final control on how you make your money off your copyright. Just make sure you follow the right channels and sign the right agreements so that you protect yourself from unfair exploitation of your intellectual property.
Come and pray for us, move a vote of thanks so that we can eat. Otherwise, we are happy to